Oh, where am I? There I am. Hi. So, this is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do, because normally you guys would just see the game up. But we're not playing a game today. Which I guess depending on how quickly this tier list goes, maybe we'll play something. But that's besides the point. That's not the main focus of today's stream. The main focus of today's stream is, if you couldn't tell by the title of the stream, we're doing a It's on the Mouse tier list stream. I figured this would be kind of a fun idea because honestly, as much as I love It's on the Mouse, at some point it kind of loses a little bit of like some replayability. At least mainly like the story. Like once you get like all like the different yeah gold in like every level and that. I mean, there's the bonus shift you can do to try to get better time. So I mean, there's that and like a few small things, but yeah. So I think instead of playing that again, we could do something different with it. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of already made tier lists for this game, unfortunately. So I made my own. So, we're not doing just levels, as you can kind of tell. We got a little variety here. I got as many pictures as I could because some of them were kind of hard to get in that. Um, but yeah, so so how the tier list is going to work. We're going to go through different categories, but kind of put them into like different categories. I'm not good at explaining things. I'll just try my best though. So let's start with what we got for our tiers. So I decided to name them after the croissants because like in the levels you get like gold croissant is like the highest like one you can get. So I figured that would be good. So I had a little bit of extra ones for my own, so we can do like it's basically S through F. I'm not sure if we'll need F, but just in case, I don't know. But yeah, it's basically S through F. So we have platinum croissant at the very top. That one's gonna be the highest tier, the chef's kiss of content and stuff for the game. So the best parts of the game, the best of the best parts. Then we have gold croissant, which is going to be the pretty good. Might have like a little bit of flaws maybe, but for the most part, still pretty good. Then we have B tier. B tier is going to be kind of near the middle, maybe like on like the high half middle. Same with C, but C would be more like the bottom half middle. So yeah, so B and C would be like okay, kind of good, but eh. So and then we have D. So yes, we have silver for B and then bronze for C. We have stale croissant, which is one that I added for D. So just basically like it's not terrible. It could have used work though. But it's not terrible. That's what F is for, which is no croissant. It's so bad it's not even a croissant. So, yeah, that's for the worst of the worst. I kind of just add. I don't know. We'll see if we even have any like F tier stuff to put in there. But we'll find out. So the categories for what we're putting into these 6 categories here are we're gonna do levels. So we got the levels. We got all from the tutorial 0 all the way up to the final level 25. We have the maids themselves, the lovely main cast, as well as also a lot of like the supporting characters, bosses, even the customers. I thought the customers would be kind of funny to rank. And a little bit of bonus too. So, and I got like basically like as many like different like things I could from the game, but I think I did pretty. I think I did pretty okay. So we have a little. It's not like a super big tier list, like it's it's from here to here, but it's pretty decent. I'd like to say. I think I did a pretty good job. I even did a little bit of homework on like what's added in which levels and stuff and that. So I did a little bit of like refresher homework just to kind of look into and kind of see what we got going on here. So we're gonna do a tier list, yeah, and we're gonna see how well we do. I think this will go well. And again, worst case, if this tier list goes a little bit quicker than I imagined, yeah, we'll probably maybe play something after this. I don't know, but yeah. All right. Oh, I don't know if you heard that. That was my arms and shoulders because I just stretched. So, but yeah. So why don't we go ahead and jump right on in to today's tier list. So let's start with the levels. So we're gonna go through all the different levels and kind of judge them fairly, I think, on where they're gonna go. Starting with the tutorial level. So in the tutorial level, it's just the basics, just teaching you how to do stuff. The color shop's not even colored and everything. It's just basically just a short little level to kind of tell you, okay, this is what you do, um, how to do it, stuff like that. Kind of just shows you mostly just how to feed the customers and stuff. So not a very big level, but just because it's not a very big level doesn't mean it's a bad level. Like honestly, for a tutorial, it does a pretty good job showing you what to do. So I mean, it kind of doesn't tell you a lot, but there's not really a lot like early on in the game that you need to know. Like as the levels go, they add more things, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But since this is kind of like the bottom of the totem pole kind of thing, like like nothing's been added on top of it yet, so I think it does a good job kind of like showing you what to do. That doesn't mean like it's super great level either. Like, it's kind of a little it's kind of a little like once you play it, you're probably never gonna play it again. Except maybe if like, I don't know, you put the game down for a bit, you forget how to play, so you just kind of play it again to kind of like figure out. So but I think it does a good job of its as a tutorial. So now the question is where to rank it. Honestly, it's not like I said, it's not a bad tutorial. You just get to serve one customer. They show you what to do in case you made a mistake. How to get to places, stuff like that. Um, so yeah, so it's basically just you being taught by Oleandra what to do, as well as also with Moopa too. Can't forget Moopa, which both of them are on the list. We'll get to them. But yeah, in terms of a placement, where would I rank the tutorial level? I mean, again, it's not great, but it's the tutorial level. It's, not supposed to be like, ooh, best level of the game kind of thing. It's supposed to show you what to do, and I think it does a good job of that. Does that mean it's super, like, on the high end? Probably not. So, honestly, I would say probably near the middle. So, I was thinking probably either B or C. Um, I feel like, again, because it does its job well, I feel like it shouldn't be like I feel like C is a little harsh. I feel like if you put it in C, it's a little harsh. So honestly, I would say that the tutorial level, level 0 technically, I feel like should be a B rank. I feel like that's a kind of like a fair spot for it. So it's B rank. It's not great, but it's not supposed to be great. So it's overall okay. It's good. So I think that's a good one there. Level one's honestly not much different. You get to serve a bit more customers. You're kind of more you have a bigger area to kind of work with too, because the shop kind of gets upgraded to um, the shop that we know from the game for the most part. The pink, pretty shop instead of like the kind of like bland and gray. So you also get to serve more customers, so it kind of adds a little bit more excitement and difficulty to it because now it's not like, oh, you just serve one customer, you die. Like, no, now you got to serve more customers, sometimes multiple customers at the same time, but it's also the first level, so it's pretty easy compared to other stuff. Again, nothing's really added yet to the game, so um, it's pretty straightforward. Where to place it though would be the question. Again, it's kind of near the bottom, so it's kind of similar to like, oh, hmm. I would say that it is. I mean, it's a little bit better than the tutorial, honestly. I would say that the first level is a little bit better, not by much, but it's maybe a little bit better than the tutorial. Kind of to help you get in there, I guess. So I think one would probably go in B as well, and maybe just replace it. I might move that later though. I don't know. Because on the other hand, yeah, it's not super exciting either. So like nothing really story wise, nothing really even has happened yet either. You're just starting out. So it's a very forgettable level too. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it is not. But it's around the same level. I can't tell if it's like above or below. Part of me wants to say above, but now that I'm thinking about it, like the tutorial's also bland, but at least it's bland on purpose. The first level, well, it's just kind of just taking it easy and everything else. So it's kind of like bland, but like you already had bland, so it's like, why am I having multiple bland? One of them's supposed to be bland. So actually, now that I think about it, I might put one. One might go in C, actually. I'm thinking about it. Because now that I'm talking about it out loud, like, I thought it was going to be like, okay, it's O, but it's level 0, but slightly better. But now that I'm saying about it out loud and everything else and thinking about it more, it might actually be technically. It's slightly better, but also slightly worse. Because it's not supposed to be. I mean, it feels like a second tutorial level is basically what it is, just with more customers, which you would think would put it above it. But honestly, that kind of also hinders it too. I think for now, I'm going to put level 1 in the C tier. So, the tutorial level is better than the first level. Only by a bit. This could change at any time. We'll see. Alright. Let's see. Next up, we have level 2. So, this is when we get both. So, level 2 is interesting. This is when we start getting stuff added. Because this adds both coffee to the game. So, this is when we start serving people coffee. It's not just croissants. It also adds the library girl. So, this is when we start getting different kinds of customers. So, it's a bit of an upgrade. So, definitely, I would say it's definitely better than both of the levels that we've seen so far. I do like that it kind of adds the library girl to it. The girl's very cute, but we'll talk more about the library girl when we get to her. She is on the list. Um, so, um, it does add some new stuff story wise. I don't think we've really gone into too much of story yet, other than just we get coffee machine, we now make coffee. And because of that, we now also get new customers. So, kind of just nothing super, super great. Still not a bad level though, and at least this one adds some stuff. It kind of helps teach you some new mechanics, similar to the tutorial level. So that's nice. I do like that it kind of adds that in there. Also, another thing is that most levels usually only add like one thing to the new ones. There's only like a few levels that add like multiple things at once, and this is one of the few levels that actually adds multiple things into it instead of just um one thing at a time, which is nice. Although, honestly, part of me thinks, and this would have just helped with number one's ranking, I feel like if we got coffee like in the first level, I feel like that would have helped the first level's ranking because there's no gameplay difference really at all between 0 and 1. 2, we get two different things. I feel like if we gave like either the coffee or the library girl, probably coffee honestly, because that's a little bit easier. I feel like if we gave coffee to the first level, it would have helped it out, and then second level would have been, um, would have had the one with just the library girl, so that way it would have been like one thing added at a time. So honestly, if anything, 2 just stole the thing that was supposed to go to 1, and that's what kind of made 1 kind of bad. So, so yeah, so I feel like because of that, yeah, 1 kind of got a hit. Now, level 2, again, it's definitely the best level we've reached so far out of like the 3 levels that we've been to. So I definitely say it should go above O. I don't know if I would put it at A though. Like it does add a lot of like nice little stuff on that, but I'm not sure if I'd make that an A tier. So I'm gonna go with top of B. Level 2 goes at the top of B right now. So at least that again, all this could change at any time. So maybe I'll consider it later and be like, you know what, 2 actually maybe was an A. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I think for now, I think a solid spot for level 2 is at the top of B tier. So it gets a silver croissant. So all right. Now level 3. This is where the story starts picking up, and we also get our first extra character, and in my opinion, one of the best characters you get to play as. But again, we'll go into the playable characters when we reach them on the list. So, but we get Bonnie, Bonnie the Bunny. So, and she's my favorite of the girls to play as. Um, so we get Bonnie. Other than that, really, that's kind of about it. Like, it doesn't add anything else other than just a new character, which is still pretty good. And again, it's one of my favorite of the characters too. Um, So honestly, on the one hand, it adds one of my favorite characters. On the other hand, that's kind of all it adds. Like it starts the story because you meet Bonnie and everything else, and you get to use her. But I don't know if it would be higher than 2. I feel like that's kind of like level 3 is definitely higher than 0 and 1, but I don't know about 2 because 2 adds multiple things into it and kind of does like a good job kind of introducing both of them at the same time. Bonnie, however, getting a whole new play style of how to like do the things though is also really nice too. So I'm wondering, hmm, I'm kind of wondering if we should put 3. No, I was gonna say if we put 3 at the top of B, then maybe either have 2 be in front of 3 or bump 2 into A. But I still don't know if A would be still a good point to add that. The only other option I would think of would be that we bump 0 and 1 down a peg and we have 1 down at D. Oh, I feel like it's kind of. I mean, actually, it's kind of accurate because again, it's kind of like one of the more. It's more forgettable levels because it's one of the very few levels that like nothing's added. So I might actually do that. I think bumping if we bump 1 and 0 down a peg and then put 3, I might put it behind 2 because as much as I love Bonnie, I mean that's kind of all it adds and it kind of starts a story. This ad does 2 does a good job of introducing both Coffee and the library girl. So I think I might do that. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna bump 1 in the tutorial level down a peg, and we're gonna put 3 with 2, but it's gonna go behind 2. So I might do that again. That might change later, but I think that's a good spot for now. So it's up there with level 2, but it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's better. It introduces Bonnie, but that's kind of about it. All right, level 4. Level 4 is our first boss. That is when we get to fight the thief, which we're gonna get to the bosses later on. So it's our first boss of the game, which is pretty cool. We kind of get to see, we get surprised like, ooh, there's boss fights and everything else, and ooh, it's at nighttime, which is kind of interesting, and it adds a lot of cool stuff. So it's definitely a very memorable level for that. And the boss mechanics really isn't that hard. It's just basically just instead of like serving the croissants, you're now throwing the croissants to use them as weapons, which is kind of cool. Um, if I remember correctly, the AI to try to aim for it, the aiming of the croissants is a little. It's not terrible, but I feel like just the aiming system could have been better. I didn't make a thing for the aiming system on here, but yeah. But overall, not a bad boss fight. So I feel like the thief boss does get like a little bit forgetted later on when you get like more complex boss fights as we go. But I feel like it might get like the same almost kind of like treatment as like the tutorial level as it's supposed to be there to teach you about boss fights and that there's going to be other boss fights later on to come. So, um would I rank it as low as 0 though? I don't know. I don't think so. Because honestly, again, it is a tutorial level. It teaches you how to do boss fights. But honestly, it's a pretty good boss fight. It has a little bit of story and everything else. The fact you get options too, since now you have Bonnie, you can choose 2 different kind of like play styles to kind of go at the boss, which is also kind of cool. Um, so I do think that adding boss fights to like a maid cafe game, first of all, was pretty genius. Um, but yeah, I think this was a good level to kind of help show how they work. Um, I would say in terms of the boss fight, or level 4, I guess, as a general. We'll go into like the actual boss mechanics, like more so when we get to the thief girl. But I would say that it's probably it's a pretty good boss fight. It gets forgetted about later on, so which might knock it down a peg. So maybe I'm either thinking in between 2 and 3 or at the top of C. I might do top of C because again, good level, introduces boss fights. kind of forgettable later on because we get like some better versions of like we get better boss fights later on with more mechanics. But that's again, it shouldn't hinder it too much. Which yeah, it kind of puts it with tutorial. So I think you know what, maybe I'll do that. I'm gonna put level 4, the thief boss fight level. I'm gonna put that at top of C for now. So it's not bad. It's not like amazing either though, but it's still pretty decent. So it will get a bronze croissant for me. So at least for now. All right, so level 5. Level 5 is when we introduce Easter eggs as a possible food, which, I mean, the Easter eggs are definitely something. It's definitely a very interesting type of food to make because you gotta like make the color, you gotta do this, you gotta do, that, and the fact that there's like a wide variety of colors you can make, which means, there's a lot more options for custom. It adds like a difficulty kind of like a difficulty boost. I wouldn't say a difficulty spike, but that's like a difficulty boost. Like, okay, now you have a new food with a bunch of different options. So now you gotta like, make sure as long as you know basic colors, it's not that hard. But sometimes you'll have like a customer, who wants this color. So then you gotta go through here, go through there. It definitely is probably the more lengthy thing to make compared like so far compared to like just grabbing a croissant or just waiting to make a cup of coffee. It's definitely the most intricate one so far. Um, to kind of just make the food, grab the food, and then send it out. So, which I mean, I guess that's how that's how food works. You make the food and then serve it, but you know what I mean. So, other than that, not too much really in terms of like story and stuff is added. I mean, yeah, we get to like Bonnie's kind of like contributing a little bit more and stuff, so trying to spice up business. So, I think that's really all that's happening so far in the story. So, 20 yeah, level 5's not bad. Adds Easter eggs. I feel like it adds a necessary difficulty boost because I did like doing the Easter eggs. Um so I would say it's definitely kind of up there. Um, I don't know. Would it be better than 3? It might be, honestly. I know level 2 was Coffee in the Library Girl. I feel like level 5 should be up in the Silver Croissants with 2 and 3. But I might put it between 2 and 3. Because I feel like it's a little bit better than 3 because, yeah, Bonnie is nice. Again, don't get me wrong, my favorite of the maids. But does I mean it adds another play style, but it's really all about it. This adds a intricate type of food that kind of stays intricate throughout the game, and also again the necessary kind of like difficulty boost that it kind of adds. Like this is preparing you. Okay, stuff is going to start getting more challenging as you go. It's not going to be simple, just coffee, croissants, and stuff. It's showing you that okay, now that we've seen you can be a maid, now you gotta be a maid and get like show us that you can handle a little difficulty spike here and there. Or maybe difficulty boost. Difficulty spike makes it think like okay, now we're in a whole new ballpark. It's still kind of the same thing. So just a little bit more prep. That's all. So honestly, I would put it above 3. However, again, just because 2 is one of those rare levels where like it adds multiple things and it does a good job doing it. Yeah, I don't know if Easter eggs are better than both coffee and the library girls. So I think 5 should go in between 2 and 3. So for now, yeah, little bit better than a little bit better than 3. Not, I think maybe just slightly under 2. So I think that's kind of a good spot right in the middle there. So, all right, level 6. So level 6. Hi, Rosie. I was trying to talk about level 6. Rosie just sprints into the room and just goes, oh, oh, oh. I'm like, hi, Rosie. Are you okay? Rosie's still in the room. They're just licking themselves now. But Or just sprinted into their room, just looked like they were on the Zoomies, which I think they are. And then just licked themselves and then they just walked away. Oh, I love Rosie. Such a good cat. All right. Let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, level 6. So level 6 is that's the one that introduces kids. So we get the young girls now. So the young girls, I mean, we'll talk more about like the how the young girl customers and that kind of work later on, but um again, I feel like it's almost like another like difficulty boost. Kind of similar to like the Easter eggs. Is instead of the Easter eggs where it was a difficulty boost in terms of like serving food, kids add a difficulty boost in terms of, I guess, more obstacles to run around on. We'll go more in depth with it when we get to the little girls, but basically, they're children. They don't sit still, and that's not sitting still thing does actually kind of bite you in the butt. So, again, I feel like it's another necessary little difficulty spike. Um, Adding a new type of customer in that too. Which is why I think it should probably go around with 5. I kind of like. So I feel like the level 6, like the difficulty spike between the little girls versus the Easter egg, I feel like the difficulty boost from the little girls is a little bit more of a boost. That doesn't exactly mean that I kind of, like it. Like, honestly, having kids just running around in a maid cafe just sounds like a really bad idea. So, you would think there'd be someone there to kind of keep an eye on them. Whatever. You think they'd be good parenting, tell kids not to run around a maid cafe. So, if they're gonna do that, at least just stay mostly near Moopa so you can pet them or something. I don't know. But, um, yeah. So I feel like 6 should be up there near 5. I don't think it's as good as 5, though. Um, Here's the thing, though. Between that and 3, again, it's a difficulty boost, which I do like. I do like the little difficulty, like progressive difficulty boost that they add to the game. I don't know if I like this one. I don't know if I really like this one. I might put it under 3. Um, Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I might even put it. Oh, I don't know. I could put it at the top of C. Um, Actually, yeah, I could kind of do like the. Now I'm thinking about it, I do like the thief boss more than the little kids running around. Oh god, the more I'm thinking about this, the lower I want to put this. I mean, it's definitely not 1. It's definitely not there. Would I put it at the bottom of C? I was thinking about putting it up kind of near 5 because it's kind of like similar to where like it has a difficulty boost. But I don't really like that. I mean, I don't hate that they're running around that much. It has a little bit more difficulty, but it's not like it's not abysmally bad like some of the levels we're going to see later on. So maybe I'm being too harsh on the little kids. That said, I don't know. Again, I kind of do like. Uh, I think it should go at the bottom of B. I think so. I think that's what I'm gonna do because I don't know. Part of me wants to put the thief boss fight above it because I do like the boss fights in this game, but again, like I said, it is the most forgettable of the boss fights. There'll be probably a lot of the other boss fights will be above the kid one, but I don't know. I think this one's gonna go at the bottom of B for now. So I think, yeah, because I like adding. I like when they added Bonnie a little bit more than adding the kids. Um, but yeah, again, it's not too far off from 5, but yeah, 3 might be like right in the middle of those two. So I think that'll be a good spot. Maybe I'll move it later, but I think for now, I think the kid level 6, I think is a good spot in B. All right, level 7. So this is where we get our next character. We get Ellie. So Ellie gets introduced in level 7, and we get her, which we'll get into more like her mechanics of how she works in that later on. So it's kind of similar to the Bonnie level, honestly, because not much really like changes other than just you get a whole new character. I think the only reason I would probably rank the Bonnie one higher is because I like Bonnie more. Um, Because me personally, I didn't. I mean, I'll get more into it when I talk about Ellie's one, but I didn't really like playing as Ellie's one compared to Bonnie's. But that's because, like I said, I like Bonnie the best. Um, so I probably would rank them about the same. This one you have to play as Ellie too, which I mean, if you like playing as Ellie, good. If you don't, well, eh. So I would say, I think because this is just me personally, I would rank it maybe just below the kid one. Because with the kid one, at least that one I can play as Bonnie. This one I have to play as Ellie, and that also has the kids in it. So, it's just you have to play it as Ellie though for the different play style. So, yeah. So I would say that I would put the Ellie level right there, probably at the bottom of B. I mean, I don't hate playing as Ellie. Again, I'll talk more about the Ellie like play style when we get to Ellie. Which you can kind of see a little bit like right here. So we got a little bit of ways to go. Um, I don't hate playing as her. I just prefer Bonnie out of all the characters, but again, I'll get into that later. Um, yeah. So I would say 7, probably the bottom, because at least with the kid level, at least I can still play as Bonnie. This one I basically is the same level, but I have to play as Ellie. So I would say it's just very marginally under. They're pretty close, but yeah, 7 would be like just under. So all right. Next up is level 8, which adds the busy lady, or the Karen, as I like to call her, because basically, she comes in, she's always mad and upset, and always wants a coffee, which kind of makes her a little bit predictable. Like, she's not too difficult. She's just like an extra thing added on, like, okay, she's here, you got to serve her first because she's impatient, and you got to give her coffee. Um, so it kind of teaches you that, okay, you should probably always have the coffee machine ready because they'll pop in at a moment's notice and then just want that coffee. They don't care. So it adds another difficulty boost, basically. But honestly, compared to the difficulty boosts we've had so far, it's honestly not that bad. I'd say it's actually a pretty decent one. Also, hi Stevie, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. We're doing a tier list of It's on the Mouse. So I don't know if you've seen my videos or anything. I've played them in the past. On the Mouse is a very cute, very surprisingly difficult game about running a May cafe, but you're the size of a mouse. So you have to like serve customers and everything else. It's honestly a really fun game. I definitely recommend it. I've also got to talk to and meet the makers of the game when I streamed it, and they're lovely people. So I definitely recommend playing this game if you have not. Hi, Rosie. I don't know if you heard that, but Rosie meowed. Hi, Rosie. I'll give you pets. But yeah, we're doing a tier list to kind of like mark like month of maids and everything else. We're doing a little bit more maid stuff. I think this is the last stream for month of maid since I'm like really doing yeah streaming the next few days because I'll be away. I'm doing good, thank you. Like I said, we're doing our last stream of the month because I'm gonna be busy the next few days with my significant other's birthday. It's gonna be fun. So I'm excited. So we're doing a stream. We're doing a tier list of It's on the Mouse. So right now we're on level 8, which adds Karens to the game. So which are surprisingly not as hard as you think. You just gotta always have that coffee machine ready for them. So, which is what I was just talking about. So, I know it's a little bit different than my other streams because usually I'm like at least like playing a game or something. But I figured a nice little tier list stream could be kind of fun. So hopefully, I don't know if you played the game, but hopefully you'll at least enjoy watching me kind of like rant on and on about the different stuff about this game and everything else. Also, if you haven't, I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning. I don't know if I did, but if I didn't mention this before, there will be probably spoilers for this game if you have not played this game already. So I would definitely recommend playing this game. If you don't want spoilers, yeah, maybe, I don't know, walk out of the room and get snacks during those parts. I don't know. But yeah, tier list streams are fun. I agree. So I don't do them very often. I think what was the last one I did? I think the last one I did was like some what was it? I think it was like a waifu one or something that I did with I think it was Eevee and I think someone else. I don't remember. But I think that was that. It's been a long time since last I did a tier list stream, so I figured this would be kind of like a good one to kind of do. So, but yeah, so level 8, in terms of the tier list, like I said, it adds a little bit of a difficulty boost to the game. Doesn't really, not like it's honestly probably the smallest difficulty boost out of the levels like so far, just because it's all it teaches you is that Karens are impatient and always want coffee, which honestly is just kind of facts. So that's just kind of just true. Now, where would I put it though is the question. So let's see. I wouldn't say near 1. It's not that bad. Hmm. I don't really like the Karens, which gives a little bit of 1. Hi, Alex. Hello. How are you doing? We're doing a tier list stream ranking a bunch of different categories. Right now, we're doing the different levels. Right now, we're on level 8. Which adds the well, I mean, you should know, but it adds the busy ladies or the Karens, as I like to call them. So we're just kind of just talking about where we wanted to place them on the level itself on the tier list. I have the actual Karens, uh, yeah, later on in the tier list, so we'll rank them as individuals later. But in terms of like the level itself, like I said, it adds a little bit of a difficulty boost. Honestly, probably the smallest difficulty boost in the game so far, just because of the only thing that's really bad about the busy ladies is that you always just gotta have the coffee ready. So that's all you gotta really do. I had to think what happened in Shift 8. You said it instantly. You truly are a top mouse mate. I sure am. I even did my homework a little bit for this just to kind of remember like what was added and stuff to each levels and stuff. So I did a little bit of homework because it's been a little bit since last I kind of like got like in depth. It's on the mouse. So um well, I have the it's morphin time in my head as it's I mean it's kind of the joke. Yeah, it's mating time. Mating time. Mating time. Anyways. When I say it, it sounds like something else. But yes, level 8 adds the busy ladies. They're not too big of a difficulty spike compared to the other levels that we've seen so far. So overall, not bad. Now, where would we rank it? I don't think it's as bad as level 1, so it's probably higher than that. Level 0 and level 4. I don't know. It probably would be above them, honestly. Um, would I put it up in silver? I don't know. I don't really like Karens. I feel like B rank for a Karen level is a little too high. So I think maybe what I'll do is I might put it. I feel bad kind of putting it above the thief boss fight. I'm going to put it right in between level 4 and level 0. So it's I mean, the tutorial level does its job and everything else. So, level 8's overall not bad. Level 4 is the thief boss fight. So, and I do kind of like the thief boss fight. It's our first one. So, maybe a C plus. Yeah, so kind of like near like the top of C, I would say. I kind of like the thief boss fight a little bit more. So, I'll probably put the thief boss fight above it. But yeah, level 8 I think should go probably in C tier, the Karen level, we'll call it, and we'll put it between 4 and the tutorial level. So, all right, I think that's a good spot. Speaking of boss fights, though, now we're on level 9. Level 9 is the Exterminator boss fight, which is like the Thief boss fight, but only just a little bit more difficult. So that adds a little bit more stuff to the fight. Yeah, no, I was surprised by the thief. How people struggle with the thief boss fight. I mean, again, like I talked about it earlier. I know you weren't here for it, but I talked about it earlier. The thief boss fight's not bad, but similar to like with the tutorial level, it's there to kind of just show you what to expect with future boss fights. Other than that, it's kind of forgettable, honestly. Like again, we're at Exterminator now. It's basically the thief boss fight, but upgraded. because now you can only hit. Now there's more to dodge. You got to dodge attacks, and also you got to only hit it. You got to hit with the Easter eggs instead. You got to hit it with like the certain color and everything else depending on the goggles, which honestly is a pretty cool mechanic. But we'll get more into the mechanics of the actual boss fight when we hit the exterminator girl here during the boss fight. So we still got a little bit more of that. Right now we're just talking about the overall, like how good the level itself was. So, which overall, like I said, it basically is a buffed up version of level 4. So it's a better boss fight. It adds a little bit more difficulty to it, a little bit more mechanics, which is kind of cool. I did really like how you had to like pay attention to the goggles coloring change in order to it adds a difficulty that I really liked, which is kind of boosted up for me. So I did really like the exterminator boss fight. So, and again, we'll get more in depth of like how that boss fight actually goes when we get there. In terms of where to put it, like I said, it's above the thief boss fight, so I think it's definitely a B tier. But where do we put it in B? So let's see, level 7. That was the one with Ellie. So Ellie being added. Again, I'm not personally one that really liked Ellie's playstyle. But again, we'll get into that when we reach Ellie. So then it might just be me personally that I would probably put it above the Ellie level. So probably go above 7. 6 was the one that added the young girls, the little kids. I would definitely think it's probably better than that one, honestly. I'd rather deal with an exterminator than deal with children. So I'll probably put it above that one. Level 3 was the one that adds Bonnie. So I do really like Bonnie. But you can also just play this boss fight as Bonnie if I really wanted Bonnie. So probably going to put the boss fight above the Bonnie introduction level. Level 5 is the Easter eggs. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with the Easter eggs because they both involve Easter eggs. Just one teaches you about them, the other one you have to use them in a boss fight. So might even put them above the Easter egg level. Would I put them above level 2 though? Because again, level 2 is one of the few and one of the first levels we see. Agreed. Bonnie Club. Bonnie is best. But we'll get to how high of a rank Bonnie is later on. Because Bonnie, yeah, we have Bonnie. She's behind me right here. But yeah, we have the Bonnie level down over here. So, see, so the thing is, so far, like I said, level 2 is one of the few levels where it adds multiple things at once, and it does a good job of doing it. Because it adds both the coffee to the game, as well as also introducing library girls, which I did really like, both of those mechanics. I would say that 9 might go just under them. Maybe. Yeah, I would say maybe go, oh, I don't know, the Exterminator fight's also pretty memorable, too. Oh, hi, Rosie. I think Rosie's like crackhead energy. They keep running in and out of the room and stuff. Hi. All right, so I don't know. On the one hand, I do like the Exterminator boss fight, but level 2 does add a lot of stuff, and it also is a good job of doing it. I might, you know what? I might actually put it above. I was thinking maybe just under 2, but now that I'm kind of thinking about it more, maybe I would put it above 2. Because I do like the stuff that it adds, but honestly, the Exterminator boss fight is just fun. Yeah. It's like one of the actual, like, just fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, none of the boss fights are, like, boring per se, but it is one of the more fun ones to kind of play. Would I put level 9 in A tier, though? I'm not sure. I don't know if I put the Exterminator boss fight in A tier. So I think for now, the Exterminator boss fight, level 9, is going to go right above level 2. So right now, level 9 is our best level so far, which kind of makes sense because it's the second boss fight and everything else and it has new mechanics. So yeah, that makes sense to me. So level 9 is now our new, at the moment, best level. But we still got plenty more levels to go. So, all right, so level 10. Level 10 adds the ants. That's when we start getting the ants. They start popping up. They get added to the story. We're starting to get kind of more we're kind of starting to get a little bit more of actual kind of story. Because so far we just kind of get like, just like leisure stuff, girls added, stuff like that. All like the fun stuff. But this is where we actually start getting like some lore and story. We start going to like arcs. Like we get into the ant arc, for example, with, the introduction of the ants. Which kind of adds again another like little difficulty boost, which I kind of like. Where would the ants go? So the ants, this one I'll probably go into because I don't think I put the ants as a separate thing. Yeah, the stage music also changed because now there's like we're in a whole new arc of the game too. That's right. I should have done the music, but I don't know. It'd be kind of hard. I mean, I had difficulty trying to find some of the pictures for some of these ears. So as you can see, not all these pictures are exactly accurate to what the characters look like. Some of these pictures you'd be like, why do they have a picture of what looks to be like a library? Because I couldn't find a picture of the library girl, so there's just a picture of a library. But so level 10 adds the ants. It is a nice little difficulty boost, and I do really like it, so I definitely would say it's pretty good level. And again, it starts introducing the new arc and everything else. Where to put it though? Let's see. Probably go above 7. Go above 6. Because I probably might put it in B. I feel like we're putting a lot of stuff in B, though. Maybe we should start putting some stuff in A. I don't know. We can always change them later. Level 3. Again, adding Bonnie, though. I do really like Bonnie getting added to the game. I might put the first ant level maybe under level 3. Just because I really like Bonnie being added, and the next one after that is the Easter eggs. Which again I do like. That's kind of like a pretty good food ad level kind of thing. Yeah, I think maybe I would do that. I'm gonna put level 10 behind the Bonnie level, but above the level with the kids. Which, I'd rather deal with ants than deal with children. Because at least the ants I can step on. The kids will step on me. All right. Level 11 adds the beans. Yes, this is the level where we add the beans to try to counterattack the ants and everything else in the story. So this is where we get the beans. Honestly, I hate doing the beans in the game. It's just, you got to aim the cannon, you got to aim it at the table, you got to wait for the cannon to fire, you got to then try to catch it if a person walks in front of it, or if you miss, you got to start all over again, aiming the cannon, firing the thing. It wastes a lot of time in a game that's all about like fast paced trying to serve food. So that's why, honestly, out of all the foods, beans kind of my least favorite to do. Sometimes I'll even just honestly, if I can, depending on if I'm trying to like, gold it or not, I'll probably just skip the beans and just be like, no, you don't get beans. We're out of beans. I know you see a giant container of beans and a cannon aimed directly at your table with beans, but we're out of beans. Our bean machine is broken. But no. It's not bad. It's just in a fast-paced game like this, having something with that much level of like setup, like the egg setup is one thing. But the beans, I don't know. I feel like the beans that's too much. Like it just makes it. It's probably the biggest difficulty boost that we have so far, and it's almost too big. So yeah. So personally, I'm not a fan of the beans, but yeah. Sorry, Ellie. Don't be mad at me. All right. Where to rank the level, though? It's not an overall bad level. I mean, it does a good job teaching you about the beans and everything else. So, it is pretty good. I just don't really like doing the beans, is the problem. Um, hmm. Honestly, this might go in a C tier. I'm trying to think where in C tier, though. Let's see. Would I rank it above the thief boss fight? Probably not. And then 8 is the Karens. The Karens aren't too bad. And then the tutorial level. Hmm. Do I put it in D? I don't know. I don't know if I hate beans that much to put it in, D tier with level 1. Hmm. I might put level 11 at the bottom of C tier, I'm thinking. I don't think it's down in D tier, but it's like it's close. It's kind of close. So I think level 11 is going to go at the bottom of C tier. I just frankly just think the beans just add almost too much difficulty to a game all about fast-paced stuff, but I mean, the game's supposed to be difficult by the end of it, so yeah, who knows. All right, level 12. This is where we meet Dooney. So this is where we get our fairy friend. So honestly, I like Bonnie more, but Dooney's not bad. But again, we'll get into the actual made characters and how well they play and stuff later on. But Dooney is a good character. I do like her, love her character. I mean, I love all the characters pretty much, especially the main four. But yeah. So Dooney is a good one added. Playing as her is pretty fun too. Honestly, I do kind of like playing as her more than I like playing as Ellie. Um, Again, we'll get more into the details why later. So probably above 7. 6 is what? 6 is the kids. Yeah, probably will put it above the kids. 10 was the ants. Do I like the Dooney level more than the ants? Probably. Well, I'm not sure. I feel like that's kind of a close one. I definitely like Bonnie more, so I feel like the Dooney level 12, is probably going to go either above or below level 10. I'm just trying to think which one. Hmm. I might put it above. Yeah, I think I might put it above. I think that might be what we do. They're pretty close, so honestly, I feel like either above or below for this one doesn't really matter too much. But I feel like just because I really like Dooney's character and their design in that, I know it's kind of more of a point for when we get to actual Dooney. But I feel like I might personally just maybe just put it just a tiny bit more over level 10. So, yeah, I think I'll put the Dooney level there, like just right above the ants. So, all right. Let's see what's next. Level 13. This is another boss fight. This is the Inspector boss fight where we have to basically it's just like a normal level. You don't really have to fight the Inspector. You just got to make sure that they don't see the ants, which that's basically just a normal level anyway at this point because you got to deal with the ants and everything so they don't block off stuff. So this just means you just got to focus a little bit more on the ants to make sure that the Inspector doesn't see them. So, honestly, probably the weakest of the boss fights. If I'm not gonna lie. Like I like the Inspector character. Don't get me wrong. We're gonna get more into her later, but I don't know. The boss fight didn't really seem like much of a boss fight. It was just like, okay, do a normal day, but don't make any mistakes. Because if you make a mistake, you're gonna lose a heart, and yeah. So I feel like it's just a slightly more strict version of just a normal level. So it's not really, honestly, that high on my tier list, though. Um, how low would I put it is the question. Let's see. Level 11 was what? Level 11 was the beans. I'm not really the biggest fan of the beans. Hmm. That is true. We do like older women. Don't get me wrong. I do. We'll get more into the inspector as a character later. Trust me. That might be a bit more higher than the actual level. We do like some older women. Um, But yeah, I don't. In terms of like the level that she's in, not the biggest fan. Uh, do I rank it beans though? I almost hate to do this because I was kind of hoping to go through this tier list without doing this at all. But I'm kind of thinking we bump level 1 down to F. We bump level 1 down to F. We put like 11 to be in D, and then we put 13 to be in the new bottom of C, is what I'm thinking. I was kind of hoping we can go through this tier list without anything being an F, but honestly, the fact that level 1 is just basically the tutorial, but just, you know, just slightly more. It's just basically just like a second tutorial, and not even kind of as good as the first one. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I feel like I was hoping we could go through this game without saying, oh, this game doesn't have any Fs, but fortunately, I think level 1 might be that F. I'm sorry, but I think I might have to do that, so I think that just kind of feels right to me. So level 13 is at the bottom of C, because it's not a bad boss fight, it's just not really much of a boss fight. So, yeah. And then, yeah, level 11 with the beans, because, yeah, personally, I'm not really a fan of doing the beans. And then, yeah, just second tutorial, level 1, just F. Yeah. Darn. I was hoping we can go this without putting anything in F, but I think that might be our first F. Maybe we'll change, who knows, but yeah, we'll see. All right, next is level 14. So this is when we start doing the ant levels, where we go into the ant hill and everything else trying to fight the ants. This is the smaller of the two levels, because there's only like, what, like two... Yeah, there's only two ant levels. This one and then the one that leads to the boss fight. So this is the smaller of the two. Just kind of like just show you what the maze section is going to be about. So it's kind of like another tutorial level. Now is it better than the actual tutorial level? I don't know. Might be actually, because I did kind of really enjoy like the little like running around and like the ant colony kind of like maze stuff. That was actually pretty clever and fun, and I do appreciate those levels. So that might actually be pretty up there. Let's see. So it would definitely be above beans. Let's see. Inspector boss fight. Yeah, I would say it's above the inspector boss fight. Is it better than the tutorial level? I think it might be, I think. And then let's see. Next is level 8. So that's what? That's the Karen level. That's not really much of a level. And then yeah, we have the thief boss. I don't know if I might rank I might rank the ant maze above the thief boss fight. Because again, it wasn't a bad boss fight, but it kind of just was there to just kind of show you what to do. Would I rank it above the introduction of Ellie though? That I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ellie's not bad, but also not my favorite of the maids. And having to have to play as her is but I don't know. Again, level 14 shows you how to do the ant maze, so you got to go dodging all the big ant girls. You got to go through one door to the next, collecting pollen and everything else, trying to go through stuff. And it kind of shows you what you're going to have to do with the next level, which is the bigger maze that leads into the Ant Queen boss fight. So I think with this one, since it's the smaller of the two, and it is kind of like a tutorial level, I think I'm going to put it... I don't know. I did kind of like it more than some of these, though. I think I'm going to put level 14 after the Dooney level, I think. So I think I'm going to put 14 right behind 12. I feel like that's a good spot, because I did really like Dooney's level, getting to play as her and everything else. So that was kind of fun. The more you discuss this, the more I realize how good he is at levels. I mean, again, everyone who worked on this did a really good job. I do really love this game. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by the fact that I'm doing a tier list of it and, mouse made. So, I did really love this game. That's honestly why I'm doing this tier list, is because I just loved it so much. I just want to kind of just talk about it for like a few hours. So, but yeah, no, you're right. The level designs are great. And I feel like actually, that's a good point. The level designs with the maze, even the small one, was still pretty fun. And it also kind of changes up the pace. You don't have to just do everything in a maid cafe. You get to actually have some fun in an ant hill. So I might actually, maybe, now you mention that, I might put it above the Dooney level. Hi, darling. Let's see. So maybe I'll put it above the Dooney level, but if I did that, I don't know. Does it go above the Bonnie level though? I do really like Bonnie.
She's the rabbit, right?
Yeah, Bonnie's the bunny.
It's the only one that I remember.
That's because she's my favorite. Which is funny because I'm a mouse and not a bunny. You think my favorite would be the mouse, but it's not. Yeah, now that we talk about that, I think I would rank level 14 under level 3, but above level 12. I think that's where I'll put that on the tier list. So, again, these could all change later if I change my mind, but yeah. It's just that Bonnie as well. I mean, yeah, kind of true. All right, so next up is level 15. So that's the bigger of the ant mazes that also leads into the Ant Queen boss fight. So it's kind of a better, beefier version of level 14, which we'll get into the actual Ant Queen boss fight when we get to her character later on of like how that boss fight was. But overall level for this one, honestly, yeah, no, it was a better version of 14 because it was just basically just more of 14, but basically better. Um, and also had the, like I said, the boss fight at the end, which was honestly pretty fun. Um, I don't know if I would say that's my favorite boss fight overall. That might be kind of hard to do. But we'll probably get more into that when we get to the actual like boss characters on the list down here. But I did really like going up against the Ant Queen. So plus it was kind of funny seeing Dooney all flustered over, big giant Ant Queen lady. So I thought that was kind of funny. Um where to put it though? Hmm. It definitely goes above level 14, like I said, because it's basically 14, but better. Does it go above the Bonnie level? It might be. I know Bonnie level's kind of mostly high just because it kind of introduces one of my favorite characters in the game and stuff and that. So, um, but honestly, the gameplay for that one is kind of basic. Let's see. Level 5 was when the Easter eggs were added. Probably would go maybe above that. Level 2. Hmm. I don't know. Would that go above level 2? Because level 2 introduced both the library girls and the coffee. So I think it might. Do I want to put 15? 9 was the exterminator boss fight, right? Autobots rock the fuck out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you said Autobots. I could totally see Ellie being an Autobot. Little tiny Autobot. But I think I might actually may put 15 in A. This might be our first A rank of the tier list. Because not only is it just a beefed up, more better version of the ant bot of the ant level, but also it has a boss fight in the end. So it's like 2 levels in one. Because it adds both a normal-ish kind of level and also a boss fight. Toyetic. Oh yeah, that's true. Honestly, out of all the maids, if any of them are going to be made into like toys or plushies, it's definitely Ellie because Ellie's literally a tiny robot. So they're definitely the more like likely to become a toy. So that's true. We'll call Ellie the most marketable of the maid girls. Because honestly, I could just see that having her little like transformer toy or whatever. But yeah, I think level 15 might actually be our first. Yeah, I think that might be our first A of the stream so far.
I mean, y'all just started, so.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, shift 15 is both a normal delivery. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's the first level that's basically like it's 2 levels in one because not only do you have to do a beefier version of level 14, but you also got to fight the Ant Queen right after. Which yeah, we'll get into how the Ant Queen boss fight is later on when we get to her over here. So yeah, I would say 15 is going to be our first A rank, our first gold croissant of the stream.
You have a staler croissant, but not a stale croissant.
Oh,
Or was that just a typo?
that might be a typo.
Oh, okay.
I meant to put stale. I didn't mean to put staler. You know, it's fine. It fits. We'll just keep it there for now. All right, so level 16. This is okay. So here's the thing about level 16, which is interesting. So level 16 doesn't really add anything new because we're going back to kind of like just, the normalcy of okay, running Maid Cafe. Lore-wise, though, it actually does do a lot because not only are we going back to more normalcy, this is when the black cats start to show up, and we have to, we have them kind of like in the background starting to kind of make an appearance. So lore-wise, level 16, level 16 is pretty good. Gameplay-wise, I mean, it's basically just we're going back to normal before the ants came back, or before the ants came in. So 16 is kind of like an interesting one. No, Moody Girl is introduced in 17. They're introducing the next one because that's also the one where we get the pixie dust. So that's another one of where we get 2 things added to the level instead of 1, just like level 2. So yeah, 16 actually didn't add anything. It was just us going back to kind of more normalcy, but it did hint that the next arc was going to be the Black Cats. So lore-wise, it did a lot, but in terms of like actual gameplay, didn't actually add too much just yet. 18's Oleander's and Nade. Oh, trust me, I have a lot to talk about when we hit level 19, I assure you. But yes, I did write down the Oleander does pop up as a quote unquote boss fight at level 18. It's not really much of a boss fight. It's kind of like with the Spectre where you just got to do your job without messing up. But yes, level 16 mainly is just the black cats are here and they're gonna start messing with your shit. Did 16 have the magic? Did I not include the magic? Hold on. Yeah, because I didn't really have added lore for 16. 17 was Fairy Dust and Moody Girl. Oh, did I not add when the magic was added? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the magic was added to that one. I thought that was added to the boss fight. Okay, I might be wrong. I thought the magic appeared in the same level as the Oleander boss fight in level 18. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it isn't 16. Okay. I could be wrong. All right. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. So I'll add that in my notes right now. This is when black magic from the cats gets added. So okay. So that'll definitely buff up its rank a little bit. So that's good. And if it is that level where like the magic kind of starts to get added, honestly, that's not too bad because if I remember correctly how the magic starts off, it's not terrible. Because I don't think it gets like too extreme just yet. Like they're doing like kind of like one thing at a time rather than all the different things just interchanging and stuff like in level 19. But we'll get to level 19 when we get to it. So level 16 is when, so mostly lore and I guess some of the Black Cat magic and stuff is added to the game and the music changes. So it's kind of like the start of the next arc. Where would I rank it though, is the question. Let's see. See, the thing is, I like most of the magic from the Black Cats, except for the wind magic. Pisses me off. I don't like that it just so easily sends me to like the other side of the room. I don't like the wind magic. But we'll get more into how much I don't like the wind magic when we hit level 19, and probably a lot when we hit the wind magic cat boss fight. But yeah, out of the magics, wind's my least favorite. So spoilers a little bit ahead for when we reach the talk about the different cat magics. So, so yeah, 16's not bad, but it's not like super like great either. So it's kind of like in the middle. Would I put it in B or C is the question. Well, I guess that depends. Is it better than the Ellie introduction level? Honestly, kind of no. And the reason being is because, some of the magics can kind of get, something in the way. Again, I'm mostly referring to wind magic. I mean, wind magic's not as bad as beans. Wind magic's at least semi more tolerable than like trying to do the bean food, but I just if you've seen me play through It's on the Mouse, you know how much wind magic fucked me up. So that's just more of a personal vendetta than anything else. So I don't know if I put it above. I don't know if I put it in B. Would I put it in C though? Let's see. Is it better than the Thief boss fight? Kinda. Because again, this Thief boss fight's not bad, but it kind of gets outdone by the Exterminator boss fight later on. And although it's a good like tutorial for bosses, it's gonna probably end up being the lowest of the boss fights when we get to all the boss fights. So I think maybe I think 16 might be a good like top of C. That's what I'm thinking. I think 16 might be our new like top of C rank. So it's not super great, but it's not like, it's semi forgettable. So I'll put it on the top of C rank. All right. Now we're on to level 17. So this is one of the other, I talked about it when we talked back at level 2. One of the only few levels that adds multiple things in it at the same time. So level 17. Level 17 adds both the fairy dust and also adds the moody, or as I like to call them, the goth girls. Because basically that's what they look like. They're basically goth girls. They're just referred to as moody girls. But yeah, it adds that whole mechanic of, hey, if customers upset, make them tiny and pet them and they won't be upset anymore, which is kind of nice.
So is that how I deal with my customers at work?
Yes, you just got to find a fairy that's willing to let you spray their fairy dust all over them. They become really tiny. You just give them good little like love and pets, and then when they poof back to big size, they're happy.
I just gotta figure out what would work with Pornhub guy.
Probably. Maybe get him a naked fairy. I don't know.
No, I said I have to figure out what to do with him.
Oh, fairy dust.
No.
Oh, okay.
If anything, I never want to see the man again.
Oh, okay.
He's a regular of ours, and none of us like him.
So kick him out? I don't know.
Technically, I can't because he's not doing anything to warrant being kicked out.
I mean, let's say a child is in the store and he's doing what he did today.
Honestly, I think he's just a really stupid old man. It took me 20 minutes to explain the concept of a passcode to him, and he still didn't get it.
Fair.
And his phone has a passcode on it.
Fair enough.
Hold on.
So anyways, sorry, back to level 17. Fairy dust a lot and keep him in a little cage for days. Oh, that's a good idea. You could just use enough fairy dust on him and then just put him in like a little cage or like a glass jar like you would a spider. You could do that with your customer.
What?
They said fairy dust them a lot, then just keep them in a small cage for some days. Or just put them like in like I think like how like you put like a cup over like a spider. Just do that. Make him really tiny and then just put like a cup over him. He's in timeout.
Good.
So you can do that. But anyways, yes, level 17 adds both fairy dust and the moody girls or the goth girls. Oh no, not the jar. You could put him in the jar. I mean, if he likes Pornhub, he might like the jar.
Oh. Oh.
I'm just saying.
Ah. Hey.
You're welcome.
You know, when I told Jen that he had asked me about MILF dating sites, remember Jen's got a 6-year-old.
So
Jen
technically
was
she's a
like-
MILF. Go on.
Correct. That's where I was going with. Jen was like, "Why does he need a website? This one right here." I'm like,
I wouldn't
"Girl,
tell.
you did not just say that."
Yeah, I wouldn't tell him that.
Like, girl, he's old enough to be your grandfather. Don't do that.
I wouldn't tell him that.
And then we had a customer. We got an email from like store support because a customer requested a callback. We call them back, and they're like, "Hey, I'm really sore today. Do you think we should still go with the surgery?" I'm like, "What? What?"
I don't know.
And then he proceeded to call Jen again about 20 minutes ago because she made the stupid decision to call with her personal phone.
Oh,
And that's why I have a work phone.
fair enough.
Because fuck that.
Also, just saying, if we put him in the jar, he's not returning from that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
That's how you get rid of customers. Fairy dust in jars.
Honestly, this is kind of morbid. I don't know if he's going to be alive long enough to pay his devices off.
Oh. In that case, sell as many as you can.
Yikes. Well, I already got him a new phone and a new tablet, and now he's being unhinged.
There you go.
And then came in again and was like, "How do I get the Google to work? Like, the Google." And I'm like, "Bro, I showed you this yesterday. We talked about this twice."
Time to get him the jar.
Oh my god.
Time to drown him in the jar.
Also, nice Slime Rancher cat.
Thanks. There wasn't a picture of Moopa that I could use, but Moopa's basically a slime cat, so close enough.
Couldn't you have just gone into the game and taken a screenshot?
I did not think of that. I use Google.
I could tell. And that's not a bad thing.
Moopa from Temu. Kind of is.
Store brand Moopa.
We got store brand Moopa. Also, I like how from Miss Oleandra, I just got a picture of an Oleandra plant.
Just, honey, we have Moopa at home. The Moopa at home.
The Moopa at home. All right, we got sidetracked with, fairy dust, old men in cum jars, and Moopa.
I'm sorry. I work in sales and I get the most unhinged customers on the fucking planet.
It's fine. You're with me, and I'm very unhinged.
You're less unhinged than my customers, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know how I feel about that either.
On one hand, it's a compliment towards you. On the other hand,
Then why do I feel insulted?
I've seen these fucking people. All 3 of my appointments that were supposed to come in today just didn't.
Oh, sad.
I'm like, I'm gonna just grab an iPad box and just beat them with it.
I mean, that could work too. I kind of like the idea of the cum jar, though.
Maybe for the porn guy, not the other 2.
Okay, fair. Speaking of jars and maybe cum,
Nice.
new used Coast Guard guy that told me about some dude angrily called him to inform that he knew about their satellites firing homosexual beams into their citizens.
They're turning the frogs gay.
They're firing beams at the citizens, turning the citizens gay.
Oh no.
Oh no. But yes, speaking of cum jars, we have we have the fairy dust and the goth girls added to level 17. So 17 is, like I said, one of the few levels like level 2 that adds multiple stuff, which is pretty nice. So honestly, I might rank it up there. I would say it's probably better than 2, because, 2 just adds coffee and library girls, but, fairy dust and the goth girls, though, it's pretty nice. In less than 5 minutes, chemicals that turn the freaking frogs gay will be released into the atmosphere, ensuring complete global saturation. Oh no. Gay frogs everywhere. That's true. That's not the weirdest plan to think about. There's weirder things you can do with a bunch of gay frogs. Honestly, so I'm kind of thinking about this now. I know we're kind of just coming down from all we just talked about. Um, I'm kind of thinking 17 should go probably behind 15 almost. Here's my reasoning. So 17's kind of like level 2, where both of them add multiple stuff that enhance the game. I would say it's better than level 2 just because with the dust, you can kind of use that on just about anyone. I'm getting to that. The Goth Girls, okay, the Goth Girls were also part of my reasoning, but I'm getting to the other parts first. Mostly, honestly, the fairy dust, because the fairy dust is good for all customers, not just the Goth Girls, to kind of like help, oh no, you're slacking with a customer and now they're upset. Just use fairy dust, pet them, you're good. So it kind of helps you with all future levels. So it's kind of like a big, like, kind of like buff level that kind of helps out. And I do kind of like it more than level 9, but I don't think I like it more than the Ant Queen level. The Ant Queen level is really fun. Uma fans will love Shift 13 because this is anytime enters the game. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, I think 17 should go in A, but I think it should go after the Ant Queen level. Because honestly, the Ant Queen level is pretty good. I think it should go after that. I would say, yeah, I like Goth Girls and the Fairy Dust more than the Exterminator, but if I'm gonna be honest, it's not better than the Ant Queen level. The Ant Queen level was pretty good. So that will be, I think, is a good spot for level 17. So now we're on to level 18, which is the Oleandra quote-unquote boss fight. Which isn't really much of a boss fight. It's basically just like another version of like the Inspector quote-unquote boss fight. Because it's not really a boss fight, it's just more do your shift but don't mess up, otherwise you're gonna, you gotta lose some hearts or something. So Queen has the most fan art out of any secondary character for a reason. Honestly, yeah, I could definitely see that. The Ant Queen probably definitely gets a lot of fan art. I could definitely see that. So, but we'll get more into like how her boss fight is later on, because don't worry, she's right behind me here, over here. We're gonna get to her soon enough. So, but level 18. So, the Oleander quote unquote boss fight. It's basically just like the Inspector one. It's just maybe slightly better, but also slightly more difficult because you also have to deal with the Black Cat magic going on. And the Black Cat magic at this point does get buffed a little bit. Not as much as it will be in the next level, but we'll talk about 19 when we get to 19. So yeah, so it's basically like a beefier, slightly more difficult version of the Inspector boss fight, basically. Which the Inspector boss fight, where did we put the Inspector boss fight? We put that one, yeah, we put that one at the bottom of C. I feel like, this one's not going to be as low. Let's see, 8 was the Busy Lady. I put it above that one. 4 was the Thief boss. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably put it above the Thief boss. 16, that was... Oh, yeah, that was the magic being introduced. I might put it above Ellie, I'm thinking. Yeah, because I would definitely put it... Well... Now here's the question. Do I hate wind magic or children more? Well, I mean, I guess in this one you would have to deal with both, so I guess that's a good point. But... So yeah, I probably would go... I might put level 18 maybe between level 6 and level 7. I think I might put it there. Yeah. Because honestly, it's... In terms of boss fights, it's not super great. It is kind of better than most of this. I don't know. Is it better than the Ellie fight, though? Now I'm kind of debating. It's not much of a boss fight. I mean, the only thing about the Ellie thing is just, yeah. I mean, Nah, I'm going to stick with my reasoning for now. Maybe we'll change it later. But yeah, I think level 18 should go between level 6 and level 7. So. Yeah, because again, the Oleander boss fight isn't much of a boss fight, but it is kind of like better than some of the other boss fights, mostly just the other Inspector one and the Thief one. Yeah, so I probably would put it there. Now we got to the fun part, though. The hardest level in the whole game, level 19, which basically is just um, basically go up against every single difficult thing you've had to go through in this entire thing, but cranked up to 11. So the hardest level in the game, and this is right before you have to go up against the actual like, you know, cat bosses and stuff like that. So this is kind of nearing the end of the game. It's kind of like the last. Actually, yeah, this is the last one you do in the maid cafe because the rest of them are all, um, yeah, the rest of them are all just like the boss fights and stuff like that. Other than level 25, which is the time attack one, I added in the time attack one as level 25. So, which that one's in the maid cafe, but that one's more just like a bonus mode for after, just trying to like test your luck and like see how far you can go on that. So level 19 is the hardest level in the game. Everything's cranked up to 11. It's going to be aggro. If you're trying to go for gold, like, you know, certain best mates, like yours truly, yeah, you're going to be in for a bad time. You try to go for gold on this one, you're going to be in for a bad time. Definitely, if I recall, it took me a good few tries before I eventually got gold in that level. So. So. Now, here's the thing. Difficult does not mean bad. It's definitely a challenge. And I think you, talking about you, Alex, there, I think you put it best when I remember when I played that level. I think you put it best when you said this level separates the men from the maids or something like that, which honestly it is. Like this level kind of proves like, okay, this is what separates the people casually playing this and the people who are like really good at this. So I'd say this is definitely like the separation between casual play and hardcore play, because if you're gonna gold this, you're definitely in this for the hardcore gameplay. So honestly, as much of a difficult time as it was, I kind of want to put it up in. I don't know. I kind of want to put it up in A. I'm kind of thinking like kind of up there, where men become mate. Yeah, that's okay. That was what you said. Okay, I couldn't remember exactly what you said, but it's something along those lines. But yeah, that sounds right. So this is where men become maids. So, and honestly, it kind of was. Like I said, once you hit this level, like difficulty was at 11. Yeah, no, it applies. It's basically. I feel like that's kind of close to what you said. I don't know. We'll just go with that for now. And that's true. It does apply. It did happen to me. I beat level 19, and sure enough, soon after, I was a maid. So this is definitely the level that will turn men into maids. And honestly, I think it's because of that. I kind of want to put it up in A rank. Where in A rank is the thing? So level 17, yeah, that's the Fairy Dust and the Goth Girls. Fairy Dust I do really like because that helps, like I said, with every level later on. And Goth Girls, well, let's be real, it's Goth Girls. I think that's enough said. I mean, even the picture, if you look, even the picture that I use for the Goth Girls is just some Goth Girl just like posing in that down here. I couldn't get an actual picture of the one from the game. And then yeah, level 15. That one was that's the big Ant Queen kind of boss fight one there. I don't know if it would be better than that one though. I did really like the Ant Queen boss fight. It's probably one of my favorite of the boss fights, honestly. Hmm. I don't know if it's better than that though. I might say 19 might be maybe in between them, maybe.
Cozy.
I don't know. I'm trying to think because this is the level where men become maids. So,
What?
hi.
Hi.
Hmm. I don't know, is above or below Ant Queen? I'm kind of thinking maybe slightly below. Because again, I had a lot of fun going up against the Ant Queen and everything else, but again, level 19 is very iconic. Okay, hear me out. This might be crazy, but hear me out. What if we move 15 from being top of A to being our only S so far, so be our first S rank, and then we put level 19 at the top of A? I think that might be a good way to go about it, because I feel like they're both really good, but I don't know. I feel like the Ant Queen boss was just slightly above, and that I don't know. I think that might be the case. Because now I'm trying to think, is there really anything bad about the Ant Queen fight? There really isn't. Like, if you know what you're doing and everything else, you get to go through several mazes of ants, which is really fun to do. The level design for that was also really good, too. And then you just go straight into a boss fight with a giant lady that just keeps trying to step on you. And that's not even the first one that tries it. Well, actually, I think that is the first one, but it's not the only one that tries to step on you, but we'll get to that other one later. I think I'm going to do that. I think 15 is actually going to be our first S rank, and then we're going to put 19 as our top of A. I think that's a good one there. So, oh, my stomach just growled. Shush, stomach. We can eat after stream. Oh, speaking of eating, did you feed Rosie?
Yes.
Okay, good. Rosie has been fed. Now I just need to eat, but I'll wait till after stream for that. All right. So, yeah, so I think 15 should be our new S, 19 top of A. So, all right, on to level 20. This is where we start going up against the Black Cat Maids. Starting with the Fire Cat Maid. Which we'll get into more like how like the actual like boss fight goes when we get to her character. But overall, not a bad level. I like that each of like the levels kind of going forward all kind of have like different themes. I like how this one was pizzeria. So we had to like, I'll get, like I said, I'll get a lot more into it when I do the boss fight one here when we get to each boss fights. But I think it was really kind of cool and creative. They had to fight the fire Black Cat Maid in a pizzeria. I thought that was pretty cool with a giant oven and everything. I thought it was really cool. Visually, it was also really nice too. Like it was very like fiery. Had a lot of like reds, orange, and yellow. So it kind of like fit like the whole theme of like fire. So overall, pretty good boss fight. I probably would say that other than the Ant Queen, that I think these are like the Black Cat made boss fights were all pretty up there. But where do we put the fire one? Level 20, or referred to as Dooney's Nightmare. Oh yeah, because didn't the person who voiced act for Dooney, didn't they also play the game and they had a lot of trouble on the fire one? Yeah, I think they had a lot of trouble on the fire one. Which is funny because that's not even the one that they're in. They're in the wind one because that's where Dooney's character is. Yeah, they had a lot of trouble with the fire one. Yeah, no, I had a lot of trouble with the wind one for some reason. The wind magic kind of fucked me up and I hated it. So that's true. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Should we rank this as before or after you guys added in the checkpoint update? Because if you didn't, because before the checkpoint update, you had to do the whole boss fight without losing all your health. Otherwise, you'd have to go straight to the beginning of the level. And this was a 2-phase boss fight. Whereas with the after the update, if you beat the first phase, then you got a checkpoint, and then you just had to beat the second phase. Honestly, as someone who's played a lot of Dark Souls games, I kind of like when there wasn't a checkpoint because, Dark Souls games are also like that, where they're like, hey, we don't care if you lost in the middle of that fight. Do it again. Fuck you. Beat both phases without losing health. Get good. So, I mean, I see why you added the second phase, because otherwise, some of those boss fights, especially the wind one, can get pretty aggravating. But from a, person who's played Dark Souls games before, I could, I kind of liked that they weren't in there because it was just very Dark Souls like. So, I'm going to assume, I'm going to talk about these as if we were talking, because I think when I played the game, I think that was before you guys did the update, right? Yeah, I think when I played the playthrough of that on stream, I think that was before you guys did the update. So I'm gonna assume I'm gonna talk about these as if there's no checkpoint update in the middle. But for people who are gonna be playing this in the future, rest assured, there's gonna be a checkpoint update, so you don't have to worry about that. Regardless of checkpoints, though, like I said, level 20, the Fire Cat boss fight, pretty good. I definitely, like I said, I liked all the cat ones. Fire one's not bad. That one was pretty cool, fighting them in a pizzeria. But we'll get more into how the actual boss fight went when we get to there. So for level 20, where would I rank you though? Would I put you in A? I don't know. I don't know about A. That might be a little. That might not be too high. Because let's see, bottom of A is what, level 17? That's the one with the goth girls and that. Okay, so that's the goth girls and the fairy dust. And then 19 is, yeah, that's the hardest level. I think in terms of the difficulty, I feel like, 19 was probably harder than, the levels going forward. I think 19 was the hardest level in the game, without a doubt. So the rest of the fights after this, which even though they're all boss fights and one level time attack thing, they're not as difficult as this. So I might actually put them maybe under, which is kind of weird to say. I might just be a masochist. Wait, scratch that. I am a masochist. Never mind. Anyways, I just admitted I play Souls games. Of course, I'm a masochist. And other things. Anyways, so yeah, level 20, I would say. Do I like it more than 17? Honestly, kind of a little bit. As much as I like goth girls, I can't argue with the aesthetic and the cool factor of doing a 2-phase boss fight against a cat standing on top of a pizza oven. So I think I'm going to put level 20. Yeah, I'm going to put it in A rank. I'm going to put it below level 19, but above level 17. I think that's where I'm going to put the fire one. So, but now we get to move on to level 21, which is the earth one. So that's the earth magic cat. So that one was pretty fun. Again, we'll get into the actual mechanics of the boss fight when we get to them, which they're right over here. So we got a little bit more to go before we get to her. But overall, it was like I said, it was pretty fun. It had a theme. I believe I'm trying to remember what the theme of that one. I think it was just a dining area. I believe it wasn't like. I don't think it was really much like the pizza oven thing, like with the pizzeria part. I think it was just more just a dining area with a really, really buff cat. So I did really like this one. I might rank it slightly less just because I think I just really like the pizzeria kind of theme going on there. Oh, but I do love, buff people. That's true. I don't know. I might put it, I think, below. Ooh, but muscle people or goth people, though? That's a good question. Buff cat or goth girls? Oh, the conundrum of today's youth. I might put it, underneath the fire one because I kind of like the fire one a little bit more. The earth one wasn't too bad. I know that one I got to play as Bonnie, which does give it a little bit of bonus points because Bonnie's my favorite. But I feel like the fire one had more pizzazz to it, if that makes sense. Like it had more like kind of like the cool like themes in that and everything else with like the pizza and the fireballs. Um, I'm getting into the talk of the actual boss fights when I'm supposed to be talking about the levels, which I guess are boss fight. I don't know. It's weird that I kind of technically did them twice, but whatever. Because one's talking about the actual like characters and their boss fights, and the other one's actually talking about the levels. But whatever. So I think for level 21, I think I'll probably put that one, yeah, under the Fire Cat. But I don't know. I might. I might actually maybe put level 17 above 21. Though I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I think I might do that. I think I might put level 17 above level 21. All right, so level 22, that's the water cat girl boss, which I feel like kind of goes back up with the fire one because that also had like a theme. It was an ice cream theme, which was very cute. Your favorite of the cats for two big reasons. I mean, you're not wrong. Out of the cat girls, she's definitely the most. Let's just say she's got something other than ice cream that's, very big and round. Anyways, um, it was definitely a difficult level, especially since I had to play as Ellie, which, I mean, I like Ellie as a character, but honestly, I feel like she's one of the harder of the made girls to play as, which is why maybe I just, yeah. So this one might have been difficult to me just because I had to play as Ellie. Um, but honestly, not too terrible. That's true. Out of all the, cat girls, she'll probably be the most comfy with you too. She probably would hug you very nicely. And with ice cream too. So that's true. I do like ice cream. But anyways, yeah, no, the boss, yeah, the level itself was also pretty nice. I feel like it would be up there, like I said, with the Fire Cat because the Fire Cat had like a theme where one was all about, fiery pizzas, the other one's all about, cool, chill ice cream. So they kind of have like opposites there. The question is though, do I like the Fire Cat boss fight or do I like the Water Cat boss fight more? I think for a few small reasons, I feel like the Fire Cat one is better than the Water Cat one. Don't make me wrong, like I said, I know the Water Cat's kind of more attractive, and we'll get to, the boss fights and the characters later on. But in terms of level design, I don't know. I kind of like the pizza fight more than the ice cream fight. Just because there were some parts with, and this might just be because of Ellie's play style, there was some parts that were kind of hard to really do. Um, Jello plays OS Heat and keeps a song that goes ice cream like the ice cream to torture customers. Oh no. Oh no, those poor customers. And that's stuck in their head. But yeah, I feel like in terms of between those boss fights, I feel like the fire one's a little bit better. Um, so yeah, I feel like this one it's not by much though, which is why I think I'm gonna put level 22. I think I'm gonna put it. Mm, what they did to FAS soundtracks is criminal, but I digress. I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of fair. Yeah, no, the strong theme of the Ice Cat, which is nice, which is why I think I'm gonna put it just under level 20, just because I kind of like the pizzeria theme a little bit more than the ice cream one, but the ice cream one was still pretty good. So I think I'm gonna put that between level 20 and level 17. So both of those two were pretty good. So next up is level 23, which level 19 was the hardest level, but I would say that this level, level 23, was the most aggravating level. Mostly just for me personally, because one, the wind magic, for some reason, I was not good at going up against the wind magic, just kept knocking me around the room and fucking me up. I hated it. Um, I also have to play this level as Dooney, which Dooney's not bad, but considering the fact that her whole thing is that she's, gliding and floating through the air, and then there's wind magic to knock you around the room, those two things combined, just this out of the cats, this one pisses me off. Out of the magic cats, the wind one pisses me off. Ace Combat trained me to fight World very well. Yeah, you basically have to play like a, plain fighting game in order to get good at doing this level. And it kind of had like a little bit of like an in-between theme too. Like it didn't have as much of a strong theme compared to the fire one or the water one. Because I think the theme for this one was ramen noodles, I believe, which ramen noodles and wind is definitely a interesting combination. So not only are you getting whipped around the room a lot with wind magic as a fairy, but you're also having to dodge noodles and other shit that's in the soups and ramens and stuff. It was definitely the most difficult and, in my case, aggravating of the cat fights. So, will that hurt its grade too much, though? I'm not sure, because it was still a pretty good boss fight, albeit probably a little bit aggravating and challenging. Um, but it's still one of the cat ones, and it's still not too bad. Um, where would I rank it, though? Is a kind of an interesting conundrum. Because it's not bad. It was very well designed, had a lot of stuff going on, which is, kind of fucked me up a little bit, but it was also, kind of cool to look at. Hmm. I kind of want to put. I kind of want to put it at the top of B. My reason being is that, like I said, out of all the cat fights and that, I wasn't really. This one aggravated me. I didn't really like it. The wind magic just. For some reason, wind magic just kept fucking me off. And I remember that when I did level 19, a lot of the times where I was like yelling and like being like all like upset was because I was about to serve a customer, but then the wind magic knocked me to the other side of the room, and then the customer left mad because I couldn't get to the customer because of the fucking wind. So I remember raging a lot because of the wind magic. So, however, like I said, that's just my personal gripes, and I do admit that it is aesthetically pleasing to look at least. And honestly, the Exterminator boss fight's not bad. But I don't know if I would say it's good mechanics. Actually, you know what? I would almost actually say that it's like the opposite of the Wind Cat boss fight now I'm thinking about it. Because the Exterminator boss fight, level 9, that one had really good mechanics. The gameplay was kind of like, it was okay because it was kind of one of the early boss fights. This one I feel like is the opposite, where this one's like, okay, the gameplay is really good because aesthetically pleasing and everything else, but at the same time, mechanics wise, this thing pisses me the fuck off. So I think I'm gonna probably put it at the top of B. So it's not gonna be with all the other cat boss fights in A, but I'm not gonna bump it down too much because I feel like if I bump it any lower than that, then that's just kind of being petty. So I think where all the other cat bosses are like near like the mid to low A's, and then this one's just at the top of B, I feel like isn't too bad. So I think the Wind Cat boss fight I'm gonna put at the top of B, above the Exterminator, but below A tier. So I think that's a good spot for it. Because again, the visuals on that probably took a lot to do. So honestly, credits to the people who had to do all the art and that for that one, because there was a lot of stuff flying around and everything in there. So honestly, well done. All right, next is level 24. This is the final boss of the game where you got to fight. Actually, did I write down what her name was? I just wrote down Bad Luck God. I forget what the actual name was of the character, but they're basically the god of like bad luck to just really like messing with you. Adversia, thank you. So Adversia is her. I have her later on the list too. I just didn't write down her name. I just wrote bad luck god. I should have wrote it down. So thank you for telling me. So yeah, so Aversia, the god of bad luck, everything, the secret villain behind everything bad happening to your shop because she just likes watching you suffer. Not to be confused with Aversia from FE. Oh, okay, yeah, fair point. Yeah, oh yeah, there's a Aversia in Fire Emblem, isn't there? But yes, anyways, yeah, so the final boss fight, this one's just I know part of it got me really upset, mostly kind of near like some of the parts, because yes, the wind magic is back in this one, and I don't like the wind magic. But I thought that this level was actually really good because it encapsulated everything that you went through. It kind of basically was like almost going through the whole game again because it starts out calm ish, there's a little bit of difficulty, but then as the boss fight goes, it just gets more and more difficult because more and more stuff is added, just like how you had to go through the game. So it's basically like playing almost the whole entire game again, just in one level. It just gets increasingly difficult as you go, and then eventually just reaches, the climax of the level and everything else. So, and it also just had a ton of lore because it just introduced the like, hey, yeah, all this bad stuff that's been happening to you throughout this entire game. Yeah, no, that was just the god of bad luck deciding, hey, I like fucking around with people. I'm gonna fuck around with you because I like watching you suffer and squirm. And then you finally get to like just beat them up, and they get to leave you alone, so you can just happily do your maid cafe in peace. And I thought that was actually a really cool like level. There was so much to that level though. All the zipping around, you get to play between all the different maids and everything. Um, she's just like a TV executive, exactly. She's basically just turning your entire suffering into a TV show for your entertainment, which is basically what I do with my streams. Kind of, yeah. You just watch me suffer for your entertainment. So. But all in all, this was actually a really good level. It was really well designed. You got to play as all the different maids. You got to go through all the different kind of boss fights almost, but it was like mini boss fights versions of all the boss fights. So it was just like you have to see them for a little bit, try to feed them the things, and then yeah, they go on to the next one. And it kind of was cool, just like in the end, it just kind of was like you defeating them, you getting back to normal, and everyone's just all happy, cheery, and everything else. So honestly, really good just in capsule of like the entire game, just like in one really long level. Because I think when I played it, I think it was almost like what, like I think it was almost like an entire stream of its own just to beat that level, which was crazy. Because I think the worst part was, yeah, I think that was before the checkpoint things as well. So if you lost at any point during that boss fight, you had to start the whole thing over again. And if you were trying to go for gold rank, like I did, oh, you were definitely gonna have to try that a lot of times, which is gonna take a lot of time. So, um, so when I made this list, this was one of the ones that, that's funny. When I made this list, honestly, I was thinking of like if anything's going to be an S tier, it's probably going to be this level because again, it just encapsulates everything that it did. The lore in it was crazy and awesome, and the fact that you even got to fight at one point with the black cat girls, and they kind of like help you because like, hey, we don't like being used for your bad luck purposes. We're going to help these guys instead. I thought that was really cool to kind of have them like kind of like help you guys out at one point during the fight too. So honestly, I feel like this might be the best level. Yeah, I feel like this was probably top of S because this one was really good. And when I made this list, even I was like thinking about like this is probably going to be maybe the only S one on here, but I guess it turns out as we're looking at this list, there is one other S so far, which is level 15, which was the Ant Queen boss fight, which is also really good. But this one has the Ant Queen boss fight and then like literally everything else. So I think with level 24, I think that's going to go at the very top. You guys did really good with the finale of the game. Very well done. It was a very good way to wrap up a really nice game. So definitely deserves a top spot. All right. Now for level 25. I know the last one was the last, boss fight, but this one was this one's just like the little bonus time attack one you can do in the end where you just try to see how long you can last, and every successful customer you get increases your time. So it was a nice little time attack thing, and I like the little mini level that you can it had a lot of replay value, which will definitely help its ranking because you can just keep trying to beat your time and everything else. Yeah, no, 25 was Rush Hour. So I just decided instead of just writing Rush Hour and just trying to fight up, I just got level 25 because technically it is a level, but it's the after credits level. So yeah, level 25 is the Rush Hour one there. Which has a lot of replay value, which will definitely help its ranking, like I said. In terms of difficulty, if I remember correctly, yeah, it kind of just starts out kind of fairly normal, and then just kind of as your time goes, gets more and more difficult to try to get you to mess up and everything else. At one point, yes, the magics, including the wind magic, does get added in, which makes it difficult. I think my record, if I looked at it, because I think I saw it yesterday when I was doing some research on this, I think my record was 19 and a half minutes or something, which I don't know if that's good or bad. It doesn't really tell you if it's a good or bad ranking, I guess, but I have a feeling lasting 19 and a half minutes with all that crazy stuff going on wasn't too bad. So, of course, if you want to try to beat my record, feel free to try. I might try to beat my record and see if I can get a better one than 19 and a half. So, overall, though, where would I put it? I feel like it's a watered down version of level 19 because it's not too difficult. It's timed, and you just got to try to see if you can beat it. It does have all the stuff that level 19 has, but it's not as aggressive. But it has a lot of replay value, which I feel like also kind of buffs up its score a little bit because you can just keep playing over and over and over again to try to beat your time in that. So. That said, I think, would I put it above or below 19 is the question. I feel like because of the replayability of it, I feel like that alone bumps it up just a tiny bit to be above level 19. But I would say they're both still pretty close. So, yeah, because again, one's just a watered down version of the other, but it's also a lot more replayable because of that. So, yeah. So far, this is all the levels. So that's the end of the levels part of this tiers for us. We still got a whole these other little bit here that we got to go through. But I think this is a pretty solid list. So 24 and level 24 and level 15 are at the top. Those are the S ranks. Then we have 25, 19, 20, 22, 17, 21. Those are all A. B has the most because it has 23, 9, 2, 5, 3, 14, 12, 10, 6, 18, and 7. And then C has 18, 4, 8, the tutorial level, and 13. And then D has 11. And then, yeah, F tier has 1 because it's basically just the tutorial, but eh. You know the Maid and the Souls fan when it's the final level that makes the higher rank? Yeah, that's fair. Oh, yeah, no. We're getting speaking of the maids, that's our next segment. Now we got the playable characters. We got the maids themselves. The 4 main girls are now coming up with the next ones. Starting off with, of course, the girl that started the whole game. We have Holly, who is the mouse girl. So, fellow mouse. So now we're going to talk about Holly and her playstyle and her character and see where maybe she goes into all this ranking stuff. So, yeah, Holly's the one that starts it off. She's the one that's technically the owner because she starts off the game buying it from Miss Oleandra. Playstyle wise, though, I do love Holly's personality because she's the positive one. She's the very nice and very sweet kind of girl. She's definitely the nicest of the group, and they're all pretty nice people. But in terms of play style, the problem is that because she's the first one, she doesn't really have anything special, unfortunately. For example, yeah, she kind of jumps kind of high, but when you get Bonnie, who has the charge jump, she jumps a lot higher. Um, when you get Ellie, Ellie's a lot faster. When you get Dooney, Dooney's a lot more maneuverable. So eventually, as the game goes on, Holly becomes kind of less and less used. So, I mean, she's the first girl you get, so it makes sense she's not supposed to be like, oh, the best girl in the game, because if she's the best girl, then what's the point of unlocking all the other girls? But, um, yeah, that's kind of the problem that I thought with her is that, yeah, she's good for the basic stuff, but, I mean, once I got Bonnie, I didn't really use Holly much after that. Except for the parts where I had to, like in the fire cat boss fight and the final boss fight, so. I do love Holly's personality though. She is very, very sweet and very, very, positive, and I do love that about her. Um, but yeah, play style wise, not so much. Where would I rank her though is the question. Hmm. I mean, again, there's nothing bad. So there's nothing bad, but there's nothing outstanding about her character. So part of me wants to almost kind of put her in you know, like B tier maybe, or like C tier, like C or B. But because of her personality and stuff too, and the fact that we kind of get to go through the whole game of her just even when she was like being robbed at like gunpoint, she was still being nice to the thief to help them get away. Like that's positive almost to a fault. So, and it was because of her that they got through the Ant Queen. Like her positivity throughout the whole game kind of like helps them get through all their challenges and everything else. And it's just, I really like that about her character. So I think I might bump her up just a little bit for that. So I think I might put her. I might put her in A or B. I think maybe I'll put her. I might put her at top of B. That's what I'm thinking. I think that might be a good spot for Holly because, again, great character, play style, overall, real enjoyment to see in the story though. So I'm gonna put her at the top of, yeah, I think top of B. I think is a good fit for her. All right, now we get to go to my favorite of the maids. We have Bonnie, the bunny. So again, so basically she's similar to Holly. The only difference is that she does have the charge jump, which I really like the charge jump because you charge it up enough, you can basically hop from one corner of the room all the way to the other corner of the room. It's just really fun to use like the charge jump and everything else. I mean, that's a little bit of like a delay to your jumps, but honestly, you get the timing right and everything else, you don't have to worry about that. So it's especially good in the boss fights though, because then you can just charge up the jump enough and then just completely dodge everything the boss is trying to do to you in that. She gets that mad air. I think the only person that gets like higher jumps than her is Dooney, but that's because Dooney just has the flying thing, so she can just literally just get as high as she possibly wants to. Uh yeah, I do kind of want to place her in S though. I mean, I don't really have that's true. I don't really have a fault with her. Like there's not really any like downsides to her thing either. I might just put her in S. I'll put her at the bottom of S just to, cuz yeah. I'll just put her at the bottom of S because I know everyone's going to expect me to put her, top tier S. No, I'll put her at the bottom of S just so that way it's not too predictable. All right, so next up is Ellie. So, again, I love Ellie's character, but she might be my least favorite to play as. And there's a few reasons why. So, Ellie is the fastest of the girls. And that, which is, that's pretty good. We do want speed, and the fact that she can hover off of edges is nice too. So if you accidentally, slide off of an edge, you have like a little bit of like recovery time. I do like that. However, I'm not really a fan of her her jump is the problem. because her jump is just the pirouette jump. You just gotta jump up a little bit in the air, twirl around, and try to descend on where you want to go, and then just do that again. I don't know. In terms of that, especially like in the water cat boss fight, I feel like that was kind of more. Mm, it was creative, but it's not very helpful when I'm trying to get around and jump from place to place. So, especially when I have a lot of times where I'm going to have to jump in that. So, I'm going to have to rely mostly on the speed. So, I don't know. Like, in terms of like her thing, like I almost kind of wish she was. I feel like either she needs to be a tiny bit slower or she needs to have like slightly faster jumps. Because in a game where like this, where like speed, yeah, speed is key, but also just like maneuverability is also really nice too. And the fact that jumping is a little, I don't know, the jumping mechanic with her is a little bit kind of It's creative, but I don't know how helpful it is compared to everyone else's jumps. I'd almost rather her just have like a normal jump versus having like a pirouette kind of jump, like she just does, and then you just have to glide down. Um, that said, I mean it's still not bad. Like if you love playing as Ellie, if Ellie's your main, I could see how people like would main Ellie. That sounds weird to say with a game like this, but you know what I mean. I can see how some people would like try to main Ellie, but I don't think that playstyle is honestly for me. Um, Now, in terms of where I would rank it, I still think, despite that, I feel like Ellie is better than Holly. I feel like Ellie does need maybe a little bit of work with the jumping part and stuff like that, and maybe a little bit of the speed, a few little tweaks. Um, but I mean, it's still kind of better than just Holly's just normal jump and normal run around and stuff like that. Which, I mean, again, Holly is the first girl you get. It makes sense that's kind of what you're supposed to get, but still. So I probably would put Ellie, yeah, probably somewhere between Holly and below Bonnie, obviously. Um, I might actually put Ellie. I don't know if I want to put her in A though. I have a few gripes with her. I might put her at the top of B. She's a little bit better than Holly, but I feel like she needs some tweaks. But then again, I could see how some people, yeah, like you said, Ellie mains are real. I could see people maining Ellie. I could see some people would rather the speed and everything else, and then just deal with the twirly kind of jumps. Um, but unfortunately, that's not for me. I'd rather have the normal speed and then the you know big jumps like with Bonnie. So, um, but overall, I love her character. Like character wise, she's great though because I do love her. She's very she's a very nice little robot. She's very helpful when she wants to be and everything else, which is she kind of wants to be helpful all the time. So pretty helpful. I also just love some of the stuff she says, like the little banter thing and how she's like obsessed with the beans. As much as I didn't like, serving the beans, I did think it was like funny every time she mentioned the beans and everything else and adding them. It was definitely a very creative take onto the menu too. But yeah, Ellie, love her character. Her speed's pretty good. I would almost maybe turn it down a little bit. And then maybe instead buff up her jump a little bit, but that might just be me. So, but if you're an Ellie main, don't worry. I'm not looking for the smoke. I'm just letting you know that, yeah, not for me. I'm more of a Bonnie stand. All right. And then last, but most certainly not least, we have Dooney. So, which, yeah, love her character. It's great. She adds the magic element and everything else, which I feel like was kind of good considering Ellie adds like the almost kind of like sci-fi element. It makes sense that you need a character that has like the fantasy kind of element to appease to everyone. So I kind of like that they kind of have like the almost that kind of like. It was good to put them back to back almost like that because it was like nice little synergies and stuff. So between like fantasy and sci-fi. In terms of how she plays, I mean, instead of a jump, she just kind of is basically just button mash. If you like button mashing, she's the character for you to use because basically just button mash and then you go, fly, 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 fly. Um, so yeah, she's definitely the one. If you're gonna button mash, she's definitely the best one to use because she'll just get as high as you need and then just glide around, which is pretty good. So I did really like using her throughout part of it. Not as much as Bonnie, obviously. But I did like Dooney's character. I did like Dooney's playstyle. I didn't really have any complaints. I kind of want to put Dooney, I think, in S tier, but I want to put her behind Bonnie. So I guess Dooney would be the new bottom of S tier. Also, just because Dooney has a lot of base takes, like how much she likes the Ant Queen and everything else. Like, yeah, no, she's a degenerate and she's not afraid to a little bit show it. Like, yeah, no, a lot of people agree with her. The Ant Queen, pretty nice, pretty nice. I will say the only gripe I maybe have with her is that she is probably the least. She's the least helpful against the Windcat, and unfortunately, she's the one person you have to play as if you're gonna do the Windcat boss fight. So it's like, oh. I have things to do, so I'll sign off for now. Have a good time making tier lists. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. It was really nice having you and everything else. Post the final one somewhere. I will take a picture and I will post it in the Discord if you like. Or yeah, I'll just post in the Discord. I'll post the final picture in the Discord. Or you could just, eventually I'm gonna put this up on YouTube. So if you want to just watch what happened, the final thing there, you can do that too. But yeah, no, I do plan to post this on YouTube later. I might even try maybe doing it maybe either tomorrow or something. I don't know. I'll try to work on it actually. But don't worry, this will come out soon on YouTube as well, so you get to see it there. But I don't know, maybe just for you, Alex, maybe I'll just like take a picture of like the final results and maybe just send it to you. But if you still want to support me and at least watch the my takes on the tier list, that'd be pretty appreciated. Just saying. But yeah, thank you for stopping by, and yeah, hopefully yeah, you have a good night. So thank you again for stopping by. It really meant a lot. All right. So far, yeah, that's the girls there and everything else. So now we're gonna move on to some side characters before we get into the boss fights. So mostly we're gonna be talking about Miss Oleandra and Moopa. So starting off with Miss Oleandra, I know I not really good picture of her. That's just a plant. But when I tried finding a picture of her, that was the best I could do. Was just a picture of the Oleander plant. So Ms. Oleandra, the woman you buy the maid cafe from at the beginning of the game, and then she kind of rarely, but every so often, she'll pop up in the shop just to kind of be there. Mostly for just first level. I think like maybe like one or so other levels, and then for her quote unquote boss fight, which wasn't really a boss fight. It's just she's in the shop. Don't mess up while she's in the shop, stuff kind of thing. It wasn't really much of a boss fight, but overall, lovely, lovely lady. Um, and very supportive towards the main cast of girls, which is pretty nice. Um, other than that, though, you don't really get to like do too much with her. Like, I probably would give her a higher ranking if she was in the game more. But there's only like maybe like 4 instances that I can think of off the top of my head where you see her. Like, you see her near the beginning. You see her at one point during the final boss fight. And then you see her like maybe like in 2 levels near like the middle. That's kind of about it. So, so I probably would rank her higher maybe if she was in this more. But she's overall not bad. Which is why I think in terms of where I'm gonna put her, I might put her in the C rank, I think. So she's gonna be in terms of the characters kind of the lowest for now. But that's just because she's not in it that much. I kind of wish she was in it more, like more than just like the you know few times. She does have, though, and this might actually maybe buff her now that I'm thinking about it, in the dice maze part of it, which I thought about doing the dice maze stuff, but I was like, there's not really much to talk about. It's a dice maze with little boss fight things, so I figured I'd just include them in the character things and talk about them. Miss Oleander does have a cute little, like, kind of boss fight with Moopa in the dice maze, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that boss fight better than just her normal boss fight, which kind of, was, yeah, her normal one was kind of eh. It was basically just a better version of the Inspector one, like I said. So, yeah, because the only one was what, 18, so that was, yeah, it was near like the bottom of B, yeah. So, that said, Miss Oleander herself, though, I might just maybe put her above. Yeah, I might just maybe just put her just like slightly above her boss fight, just because again, good character. The boss fight in the dice maze was fun. Not so much her normal boss fight. And just yeah, no, I feel like she'd be higher if just she did more in the story. So I think I'm gonna put her just above her boss fight here in B rank. So technically at the bottom of the characters, but like she's still a B, which is still not bad. And then we have Moopa, who is our little like slime cat. She's basically Moopa's just the garbage can in case you like mess up on an order. You can just feed it to Moopa, and then you just try to redo the order. So definitely helpful, which will boost Moopa's standing on the list, and a pretty cute little slime cat. So, and like I said, with the boss, he's only in one of the boss fights, whereas Oleander's in both the Inspector one and in the Dice one. Moopa's only in the Dice one. That's the only time other than just in the boss fight there. Yeah, that's other than that, he's just the garbage can to throw away stuff. So, but at least you see him in every level, which is kind of nice. He doesn't do much unless you like feed him. So, overall, Moopa's not bad. Would I rank him? Where would I rank him though? I almost want to put him above Miss Oleander just because Miss Oleander, we don't see, like I said, we don't see her too much other than 2 boss fights. I mean, yeah, that's one more boss fight than Moopa, but the second boss fight that she's in is, well, honestly, maybe if anything, gives her a detriment just because of how kind of not a boss fight it is. I might put Moopa. I think maybe Moopa I'll just put maybe like just above Miss Oleandra. Yeah, I think just because I feel like it's the opposite of Miss Oleander, because with Miss Oleandra, you know, really good character, barely ever sees, versus Moopa, not so much character because he doesn't really do much other than just say Moopa. But he's in every level and he kind of has like a purpose in terms of like acting as a garbage can. So I think Moopa I would put just above Miss Oleandra. And put her like right there. Yeah. So Moopa would also be kind of near the bottom of B. So far all the characters are pretty well written, so it makes sense that they're, this high. With the lowest being Miss Oleander at B, but still. All right. So next up, I think that's it for characters for the most. I think for now, because I think the only other character we have is Perde, but we're gonna get to her at the end. So I think next we're gonna go to boss fights and kind of go more in depth with some of the boss fights that we did. And probably kind of keep them around where like their levels were, if I'm gonna be honest. But difference is these are kind of more like the levels I was like just comparing to like other levels. These are just gonna compare to like the characters and stuff like that in the boss fight. So they might be a little different than where their boss fight placements are. For example, starting off with the thief boss fight, which is kind of like the tutorial boss fight because it's the first boss fight of the game. It shows you a lot like what to come with the boss fights. It shows you that, like, okay, you're gonna have to do stuff like this, go around, shoot stuff, in order to fight the bosses. And the thief one kind of acts like a good like tutorial boss fight. There's not really much to it other than that. Lore wise, it's kind of interesting, you know, because it's like a thief trying to break into the store. It's just you and Bonnie. So you gotta, you know, try to find a way to cleverly take down a thief. When you're, you know, you guys are the size of mice. And it's kind of creative that you use stale croissants in order to just, you know, smack the boss around and try to get them to leave. Only to like help them escape in terms of maybe they'll never rob you again. Which I mean, I don't think you ever do see them again, so I guess it worked. So, where does she rank though? I mean, like I said, like I think I said this earlier, in terms of the boss fights, it's the first boss. It's not usually that, you know, difficult, and honestly not really even that like flashy either. So, like it in terms of all the boss fights, the thief boss fight's probably the most forgettable because it's just there to kind of just teach you what to do. Um and character wise, I mean, you don't get really too much interaction with the thief. It's just at the end, the thief just kind of, if I remember correctly, they just do like a bad like French accent and just, you know, say that they'll never do it again if you let them go, and you do. So, yeah, I think overall, I feel like they could have done better with the character too. So I kind of want to put it with. Part of me wants to kind of put it with the level itself, and put it in C, but I kind of feel like the character itself is kind of part of the reason why I kind of just got like a little bit of like a downgrade. Like why that's like a tutorial level and so forgettable is because the character in the boss fight is also just very forgettable because they don't really say much other than just, hey, let me go, you know, I won't rob you again. So I think the thief boss fight itself is going to go in D, which I know is kind of weird because the level I put it at C, but at least the level's like, okay, like it's, you know, kind of teaching you things. And honestly, the worst part of it is just the forgettableness, and the thief kind of more manifest that than the actual like tutorial level. It's weird. I know it is to kind of like put them separate, but you know, I felt like it kind of needed to be done. All right, so next up is the Exterminator boss fight. So this one was the Exterminator girl. How this one goes is that, you know, they're exterminator. They were sent to exterminate pests from a store. They accidentally go to your store instead of another store, and they're basically just trying to kill you till they run out of stuff to try to kill you, and then yeah, misunderstanding, sorry, leaves. So that kind of thing. So, in terms of boss fights, though, pretty fun boss fights. And it is kind of funny, again, like the whole interaction afterwards of they have really trouble seeing, which is why they made the mistake and everything else. They have trouble seeing because of the goggles that they're wearing to try to give them night vision, which is kind of funny that night vision goggles gives you bad sight and everything else. But overall, pretty fun boss fight. It's just the thief, but like upgraded because they also have like more. They attack you more, and also like the color coordination attacks you got to do in order to hit them is pretty clever. So I do like that. Hi. So definitely like the exterminator more than the thief. But where would I put the exterminator? Mm, So where do we put? So the Exterminator boss fight we put at 9. So that one we kind of put near the top of B. And honestly, I feel like the character themselves, I feel like kind of should be about the same spot because I did really like the character. Um, they're not as forgettable as the thief, and we see them. Well, we only see them once compared to Miss Oleandra, but it was kind of like a good boss fight though. I might maybe put the character. Hmm. I don't know. I might maybe put the character maybe I think between Moopa and Miss Oleandra, because again, Moopa we see. Excuse me. I'm talking so much, my throat's starting to get a little dry. Yeah, Moopa we kind of see every time, all the time. It just doesn't have much lore. Exterminator doesn't really have much lore either, but they do have some funny reactions. So I think I think I'll put them above Miss Oleandra just because we only see her like once, but at least we kind of have some, I don't know, good conversations. I guess it's kind of funny to kind of like get like the whole misunderstanding of the girl with glasses can't see when using night vision goggles because they took off their glasses. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny. So I probably would put it at B, but I kind of like Moopa a little bit more, so I probably would put maybe Moopa above the Exterminator.
Now I'm curious as to if they make prescription night vision goggles. Kind of like they do prescription sunglasses and VR headsets.
Well, if they do, this Exterminator girl did not know about it because the whole reason they became a boss fight is because they put on their night vision goggles and mistaked your store for a different one because they couldn't see.
Oh no.
And then after the boss fight, they take off the night vision goggles, put on their normal glasses, and then realize, wait a minute, this isn't the right place. I'm sorry. Just you'll be fine. Just don't have any customers for like 3 weeks to let the pesticides out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought made the boss fight itself kind of cute at the end. It's like, okay, you weren't maliciously trying to spray us with poison the whole time. You just didn't know you were in the right spot. Plus the interaction with her afterwards of, explain to her this is not the right location was pretty funny. All right, so next up is the health inspector that we meet a little bit later on, which is kind of fun to put her right after the exterminator. Character-wise, we don't get to see her really. I think we only get to see her like twice. Once in her quote-unquote boss fight, which isn't really much of a boss fight. It's just, hey, the health inspector's here. Don't let her see the ants that have started attacking your place, because if they do, then you'll lose HP. So just get good at getting rid of the ants, and that's it.
And it's funny how the ants only show up on the day the inspector arrives.
Yeah, actually, I think it is literally. I think it's like the day. Yeah, it's like I think like the day or two like before the inspector comes when the ants start showing up in the game. So
It's an inside job.
I mean, it was because the whole point of this was that in the end, it was the god of bad luck who was doing this just to kind of fuck with you so they can enjoy watching your misery.
Oh, I was saying that it was an inside job by the inspector because they just want to close you.
Nope.
And they're just digging for a reason.
Well, I mean, I could see that being a case too, but apparently it's much bigger than that. So, the boss fight I didn't rank very high. However, the health inspector is very pretty. And you do see her both in this boss fight and in a kind of funny boss fight in the dice maze where she's a witch throwing fireballs at you, and she looks pretty good as that witch. So I like how they at least gave her something more than just this one level of quote unquote boss fight, which wasn't really much boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that bumps her score up a little bit. Where does that put her though? I mean, it's definitely not above the main. No, yeah, definitely nowhere near the main 4 girls of the game. So definitely not anything higher than B. Would I rank her over Moopa the Slime Cat? I'm not sure. Maybe just because she's kind of hot. And I'm not just saying that because of the fireballs that she does in the dice one, but. Yeah, I think I might maybe put her just over Moopa. Because Moopa, all he does during the game, he's basically the game's trash can. If you mess up a customer's order, you just feed the order to Moopa and then try to get them the right order. So, in terms of character, yeah, I feel like she gets buffed up a little bit just because of she gets like a redeeming boss fight later on. And like the little like dice mini game kind of dungeon thing. But yeah, other than that, she's kind of a little bit low on the list. Now we have the Ant Queen boss, which, I mean, that level itself is up in S tier, so you know this one's going to be a good boss. So, going along with the ants, basically what happens in this boss fight is that to go try to get rid of the ants once and for all, we decide to go to the Ant Queen and try to see if we can talk to them face to face. Problem, Dooney's shrinking spell works a little too well, and we turn into basically ants for ants. And the entire time we're trying to talk with her, she's trying to get revenge on us for squishing so many of her fellow ants that she's now trying to squish us.
What is this? A cafe for ants?
I mean, that's kind of what the Ant Queen wanted to do. Yeah, her whole goal was to eventually drive away all the people, run the shop out of business, and then take all the food that's in the shop for themselves so they can eat.
I think you missed the Zoolander reference.
I think I did. I'm sorry. We should watch Zoolander. That's a pretty good movie. Would that count towards a bad movie date? I don't know, because it's actually a good movie.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Anyways, besides Zoolander, Ant Queen boss, also a pretty fun boss. You have to go through this whole maze of ants just to get to her. And then she attacks you with a bunch of like pollen and flowers. And the only way to beat her is to use the pollen against her to make the flowers shoot her instead of you. So it's a pretty fun mechanic wise for a boss when she's trying to step on you the entire time and you're trying to use her flowers against you, against her. So overall, pretty good boss fight. The character's also pretty attractive to the point even one of the main girls considers staying this tiny just so that way she can stay with the Ant Queen.
Interesting.
That's how apparently attractive the Ant Queen was. One of them was like, on second thought, staying here as a pet might not be a bad idea. I mean, apparently, if you look up, and this is according to Alex, which is one of the people who made this game, apparently, out of all the characters that are made, fan service on a certain site, apparently the Ant Queen is the most made fan art. So, I mean, makes sense. So I probably would put her pretty high up there, but where would we put her exactly? Is she better than any of the main four girls? I'm not so sure. She might be pretty close under them, though. It's going to be hard to kind of beat the main four girls in the game where you kind of get to know them the entire time and then have all of them fight in the final battle. That said, pretty attractive, though, too. I might maybe put her. So let's see. We have half of the main cast at the top of B and the other half of the main cast at the bottom of S. So I might maybe put the Ant Queen maybe in the middle and maybe put her in A. Just because she kind of made that whole boss fight kind of fun. She was very attractive and stuff too, and her interactions with some of the characters was kind of funny. And the fact that the whole thing could be solved at the end by just Holly's overall positivity of, if you guys are just, just believe in me, I promise, I'll give you a croissant every month and you guys will eat like kings.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you know what? You seem honest enough. I'm going to go with it. She took the gamble and you know what? That was kind of really nice of her. So I'd say we're going to put the Ant Queen in A. Just kind of like break dab in the middle between the main cast of maids. All right. Next up, we're starting to get into the cat maids, the black cat maid boss fights. Starting with the fire one, which we talked about a little bit earlier, which was the one where you fight her in a pizzeria. You have to fight her as Holly, which is the mouse girl. So it's kind of funny that the first one is a mouse versus a cat. And you have to fight her while she's standing on top of a pizza oven that's shooting flaming pizza cheese at you all over the place. And how you do the boss fight is you gotta basically overload the pizza oven to the point that it makes the room too hot, that the condensation puts out all the flames and ultimately takes down the fire cat.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. So it's a pretty cool boss fight. It also, like all the other cat boss fights, has two phases. One where the pizza oven, is mainly involved, and the cat's on top of it. And then the second phase, the cat uses their magic to basically become a giant fire cat. That instead is using the pizza oven, just shoots fireballs at you themselves. But you still got to use the pizza oven's condensation to take down the giant fire cat.
Right.
So, overall, pretty fun boss. I don't know if I put it up there. It might be close, but I don't know if I put it up there with the Ant Queen. It might be maybe like just under, maybe. Yeah, I'll probably put it maybe like just under. I think that'd be probably a good spot for it because, yeah, the Ant Queen's a little bit more iconic. This one's still pretty fun though, and I would definitely say probably near the middle in A rank. I think would be a good spot. All right, so the next one of the Black Cat maids is Mura, who is the Earth Cat maid. She's just a really buff cat maid. That just fights you in a dining room, so it doesn't really have a theme like it's like some of the other ones do. It's just you're fighting in a dining room, buff cat, throw tables, stop cat. And then, like the other cat fights, it has two phases. Where the first phase, she's trying to knock you off the tables, and then the second phase, she grows big, and then she's throwing the tables. But you still got to beat her using Bonnie to try to crush because at some point she'll take like a big table over her head. So in order to beat her, you got to jump on top of the table and then just do basically bunny stomps to try to smack her in the head with the own table. Which I think is pretty cool. It's kind of a fun way to have someone beat like a giant muscular cat is by just beating them with the own table that they're trying to beat you with. So that's the Earth Cat. All in all, not bad. However, I kind of feel like she gets docked some points because at least the other three cats all have like themes. Like one's using, fire cat with pizzeria, water cat with ice cream, wind cat with ramen. She's just throwing tables. So I feel like it's going to dock her some points a little bit. As to where I would put her, though, I might bump her down. I don't want to bump her down too low because it's still kind of an overall like fun-ish boss fight, even if it's not really like has like a theme. So maybe I might put her. I might put her in B, but where in B? I feel like after the main cast of maids. Would I put her above the health inspector? Probably just because the health inspector's only really kind of this high just because of that one sexy witch outfit that they wear, honestly. Yeah, so I might put you near like the middle of B, I think. I think that might be a good spot for you. So above the health inspector, but below Holly. There you go. All right, so next up is Jella, who is the water cat who fights you in an ice cream parlor where they just keep making giant balls of ice cream to try to roll over you with. So, and you have to fight them as Ellie, who's the little robot girl who's really fast, but her jumps aren't super great. So, and how you beat her is you just gotta, kind of jump up from like ice cream to ice cream, try to like jump on top of the balls of ice cream rolling around, and then just bop her on the head. Kind of like almost kind of like a Sonic boss fight where like, you try to like, you're attacking Eggman, you just gotta do like the homing dash like on the top of his head. It's almost kind of like that. Instead of a homing dash, you just got a little like pirouette, twirl, kind of like jump you just gotta do on their head. So I feel like this one's pretty creative. Personally, I would dock a little bit of points that I have to play as Ellie because as I've said, Ellie's kind of one of my least favorite to play as, just because her playstyle is not really kind of the one I like. Which I can see some people liking her style. She's very fast, but doesn't really jump that good. Versus, I like playing as Bonnie, who's all about those big jumps. So, in terms of where I put the Jella boss fight, as we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, she's also, in my opinion, ironically, the hottest of the cat girls. Which is funny because one of them's literally a fire cat girl. But other than hotness, I don't know. I kind of like the pizzeria fight a little bit better though than the ice cream fight. I mean, both of them are pretty fun, but I feel like the fire one was just a little bit better. So I think I might maybe put I might put Jella's fight underneath Fuko's fight, and have it be under the Fire Cat. So still an A rank, but not. If I had to pick between the Fire and the Water Cat boss fight, I'm probably going to choose the Fire one. All right, so this is the last of the cat girls in terms of the boss fights, which is Whirl, who is the wind cat, and this one's my least favorite just because I hate her magic. Her wind just sends you all over the place, so you're trying to do stuff, and you're like, oh no, you're gonna go over here now, which kind of is annoying when I'm trying to go somewhere. Especially since her whole fight is basically you're fighting her in a little ramen shop, and she's, there's ramen bits flying all over the place, the entire place. So the first phase of the fight, she's just throwing ramen ingredients at you as you're trying to knock her into her own bowl of ramen. But then the second phase happens, she floats up in the air, she gets big, and then she's just, everything's flying around the room, and you gotta try to fly up to her head to, bop her on the head as a fairy. So, the first phase of the fight's not too bad. It's the second phase of the fight, though, where she ups the wind magic and everything else, too, oh, that was aggravating to do. Trying to even get up there, and she just, swats you to the other side of the room with wind magic. It's just annoying. So, you do get to play as Dooney, though, which, she can fly as long as you button mash. So, not a bad boss fight, but keyboard's going to take some damage at the end of all that. Unless you play a controller. Actually, I don't know I think you can play a controller, but I'd feel bad for whatever button's the jump button. So, probably my least favorite of the cat girls just because I hate her magic, but overall, at least she has a kind of theme. So I think what I would do is I probably would put her in B rank, but I would put her just over the Earth Cat Girl because at least she has a theme. And at least she, kind of looks. It's kind of funny just to see her throwing ramen ingredients at you as you're trying to dodge. So I probably would put the Wind Cat Whirl just above Mura. So, middle of B. Alright. So I think this is one of the last ones of the bosses. I think it's the second to last one of the bosses, actually, which is funny enough, is the final boss. Which is Adverza. This is the god of bad luck that's basically shows, hey, I've been fucking with you this whole time. Just because I like watching people's misery, and for some reason, watching a bunch of tiny people struggle to have a maid cafe stay standing is kind of hilarious. So the main antagonist that doesn't introduce himself until literally the last level. But then you kind of get to go through everything you've gone through in the game. So overall, the level that you fight them in is, top-notch S rank. Character itself, I mean, I'm not entirely sure because you only get to see her at the final level. It would have been kind of cool if we had little nods or a little bit hints towards them throughout the game of something happened. Even if it was just at one point you see an eyeball in the background staring at you or something, or I don't know. It would have been kind of cool if we just had little hints to them being the final boss throughout the game. It's kind of just a big lore dump in the last level. Design wise, it's pretty cool. It's basically just a girl made of eyeballs. She just has eyeballs like in her hair. She has eyeballs like just in her clothes and everything else. She just summons eyeballs all over the place to like watch people and cause bad luck. And you gotta basically fight her and her, spawning all this, stuff from basically past boss fights to kind of fight her. Which I mean, that part's pretty cool. So I probably would put her. Where would I put the final boss? Mm, I mean, the fight itself was great. The character is all right, though. Honestly, I almost feel like even the Earth Cat kind of gets a little bit more. I don't want to say screen time, but like it's a little bit more like interactions compared to the final boss one. Which don't get me wrong, she's not bad, but like I feel like it could have been just a little bit better if they like made like little like peeks to them throughout the game. I think I would probably put her. I think I might put her just after. I think I put her between the Earth Cat Mura and the Health Inspector because the Health Inspector, yeah, Health Inspector didn't really have much either. She had one kind of good boss fight, but Averza, the God of Bad Luck, they had a really good boss fight, so that kind of puts them at least above the Health Inspector. So I probably would put her, yeah, there. So kind of like near middle slash kind of back end of B. Yeah. All right. So for the last of the boss fight ones, we have speaking of the dice maze thing that we kind of talked about earlier. This is the lady who runs the dice maze thing who ends up being the final boss of that little like maze mini game, which I mean, you get to see her in a sexy dragon outfit. So I mean, that's pretty nice. And she tries to step on you too. So again, that's more step on you points like the Ant Queen. So a sexy dragon lady trying to step on you. It's not entirely bad. Where would we rank her though? Is the question. I mean, overall, pretty good design character. She's just, basically like the little game master for your little like dice maze that you play in for little mini games and that. And then she just turns out to be the final boss at the end of the maze with sexy dragon outfit. I'm not sure where I'd put her though. I mean, don't get me wrong, that outfit's pretty nice, but other than that, she doesn't really add much to the story other than just being like the almost kind of like the narrator for just the only just like the minigame part of it, like the dice dungeon part. Mm, funny enough, despite her sexiness, I would probably put her in A, but I might put her near like the bottom of A. I feel like if we got more substance with her other than just that one sexy boss fight, I feel like that would have been better. So I think I'm gonna put her the bottom of A, just underneath the water cat girl. Because I mean, she was also really sexy, and she had some nice little like lore bits here and there throughout the story. So yeah, I feel like I would put her there then. All right. So far this is our list, looking pretty. I think it's looking pretty good. But now we get to do the one thing every person in retail wishes they could do. We're going to rate the customers. It's just something every person in retail wishes they could do.
Oh, I have some strong opinions about some of my customers, especially today.
Well, unfortunately, we're not rating your customers. We're rating the customers that come to that pop up throughout the game in It's on the Mouse. So maybe someday we'll do a secret tier list of your customers, which could be a good stress relief thing. Who knows? Um, but yes, for now we're just doing the It's on the Mouse one, starting with, according to the game thing, it's just They're called Street Girl, which is why the picture that I have for them is just a picture of a street because I couldn't get a good picture of the actual girl in the game. Um, so yeah, Street Girl, which basically all the Street Girls, they're the most normal customer because yeah, they don't really have any special quality. They're just, I come here, I want food, please give me food. That's it. So the most normal of the customers, nothing too special really. Um, yeah, honestly, there's not really much to say other than that about the Street Girl. So, um, yeah. I mean, they make some like casual appearances in the dice dungeon thing. Is like some of the because the customers are like the enemies in like the little dice dungeon thing too, which I think is kind of cool. I don't remember her really doing much as the enemy. I mean, none of them really do too much as the enemies, other than just try to get you. So, honestly, kind of bland. Not gonna lie, nothing really special about the Street Girl, unfortunately. Where would I put her? I feel like it's almost too mean to put her in F. I feel like it's a little too mean. I might put her in D just because she's a little bit forgettable. Maybe I'll put her next to the thief boss fight girl, who's kind of the same thing, kind of also pretty forgettable. So I might put her in D. So next we have the library girl, basically just nerdy girl in glasses. Um, Similar to the street girl, the only thing is, the library girl will refuse to order if they're sitting with anyone that's not a library girl. So, like, if you have a library girl sitting at the same table as street girl, uh, library girl will not order until the street girl leaves because they're shy. So, a little bit of a detriment there. It's just basically street girl, but like slightly worse because you can't put them with any other girl. But they're a cute nerd girl, so that does give them some bonus points. Where would I put them though? Is the question. Hmm. I almost feel like I want to put them with Street Girl almost, but I don't know if I want to put them like slightly above or slightly below. Appearance wise, I kind of want to do slightly above, but mechanic wise, I kind of want to put slightly below. Mm, I hate to do it, but I think I'm gonna do slightly below. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do the library girl slightly below just because, yeah, it's just street girl, but a little bit more picky. Um. Okay, so next up is the young girl, or basically just it's a child. The thing about this customer is that when they pop up, um, after they order, so during the time where you're trying to get their food to them, they're running around the cafe, basically becoming human obstacles that you can bump into, and then you might have to restart your order. So they're kind of a pain in the ass. Which I mean, let's be honest, kids. Enough said.
So, yeah, children.
Yeah, it's basically a child. You think someone would just get them to just sit in their seat or something, but no, they just run around the cafe and just cause chaos until you finish their order. So, and then they sit down and eat and leave. So, a little bit of a nuisance. I feel kind of mean putting a child in F tier though. So I think maybe what I'll do is I kind of just thinking about this now. Maybe I'll bump Street Girl and Library Girl up to C tier and then put Child in D tier because children. All right, yeah, we'll do that. We'll put the child in D tier. All right, next up we have the busy lady, or as I like to call them, the Karen customers. Basically, fancy lady that's just really impatient, but all they want is coffee. So it kind of evens out a little bit. Like they're super impatient, so you got to make sure to serve them as soon as they come in, but all they want is coffee. So all you could do is just like prep a coffee in the coffee machine, and then as soon as they come in, just quickly go give them the coffee and then go prep the coffee machine again. So it's not too bad to deal with them. It's just kind of sucks that like if you're like in the middle of a bunch of stuff and you see one of them come in, you have to stop what you're doing to help them first and then continue all the chaos you were in the middle of, which kind of sucks. Now, where to put the Karen? I mean, on behalf of all Karens, I want to put them in F tier, but surprisingly, despite being a Karen, they're actually not that bad in the game because again, they're pretty easy to deal with once you realize all they ever want is coffee, and you just gotta make sure to always have a coffee prepped for when they come in. So I think the only downside would be if you had like two Karens back to back, because then you'd have to prep a coffee, give them that coffee. Another Karen comes in. Well, now they have to wait for me to make the coffee, and then as soon as the coffee's done, give them the coffee, and you just got to hope that they're patient enough to wait for that. So I might put Karen in D, I think. But I might put her above the child, because at least the Karen's not running around or, saying mean things or racial slurs like normal Karens. Like in terms of Karens, this might be probably the best Karen you're ever going to get. Is just one that's just impatient and wants their coffee and then leaves. Doesn't even talk to you. But now, if we want to talk about an F rank customer, we have the scientist. Which the thing that annoys me about this one is that in their whole mechanic is that they can't make up their damn mind. If you're not quick enough with serving them, they will change their mind and you have to give them something else. And the problem with that is if you spent time, like let's say if they want an Easter egg, because the Easter egg takes a little bit to make because you got to grab the egg, dye the color, all that. If you do the egg and then not give it to them quick enough, they'll change their mind right before you give it to them, and now you got to dump the egg and give them the new thing that they want. Which there's been several times where if a scientist lady just comes in, I just straight up ignore them. Because I don't want to deal with their minds when they can't fucking make it up. Honestly, they're almost like more actual Karens than the Karen customer. Which is why I think the scientist should go in F tier. Because they kind of just piss me off with how often they change their mind. And then sometimes they'll order multiple things, so you'll like finally get them success, and then they'll be like, oh, and I want another thing. Oh, but I'm going to change my mind on that thing. Can you get me that thing? Oh, you're too late. I'm going to change my mind again. I'm just like, I hate you. So bottom of the F tier, scientist lady. Which means we have now come to the last, but most certainly not least, thing on this tier list. We have the moody girls, or as I like to call them, the goth girls. Which their whole thing is just that they're super impatient and super pissed off as soon as they come in. But if you give them an order with fairy dust, they become happy and give you a very nice tip of money. So just, give them fairy dust every time they come in. Also, hot goth girl. Enough said. So where to put them is the question. I feel like they should go. Let's see, definitely above scientists. They're almost like a Karen because they're pretty predictable. You just got to give them whatever they want, but with fairy dust. Also because they're again hot goth girls, which also is nice. So probably put them above the Karen. Are they above Miss Oleandra though? I mean, she's pretty nice. You only see her like 4 times in the game though, but she is pretty nice to you. I don't know if I want to put the goth girl above her though. I might actually, surprisingly enough, I might actually put the goth girl at the bottom of B tier actually. Because, I mean, she's above most of, like, the other customers. The only thing she's not above, yeah, it's, like, kind of like some of the, you know, either, like, their bosses or, like, their main cast or something like that. So she'd be the top of customers, but kind of like the bottom of everything else, which kind of makes sense because she's just a customer side character that doesn't really get any lines. So it's kind of about right. She's the top of background characters, if that makes sense. So I think Goth Girls will go at the bottom of B. So. And with that, that is the end of our tier list. Wow, that actually kind of almost went perfect because we're about like at 3 hours, and that's kind of how what I was hoping this tier list would last long. I was hoping I could talk my way into getting this many things to be ranked. So cool. So it looks like this is our overall tier list. So we have level 24, level 15, Bonnie and Dooney are all the S ranks. We have level 25, 19, the Ant Queen, Fire Cat, Water Cat, the Dice Master, and then 20, 22, 17, 21 F's A rank. Looks like most of our stuff ended up in B rank from the look of it, because we have Ellie, Holly, 23, 9, 2, 5, 3, 14, 12, 10, 6. Just listing a bunch of numbers. Wind Cat Girl, Earth Cat Girl, Final Boss, Health Inspector, Moopa, the Exterminator, Miss Oleandra, 18, 17, and Goth Girls. Oh, that was a lot. That's a lot in B. In C rank, we have level 16, 4, 8, tutorial level 13, the Street Girl, and the Library Girl. In D rank, we have the Thief Boss Fight Girl, level 11, the Karen Customers, and the Children. Which honestly, for D rank, that makes sense. And then the only things we have in F tier is level 1, which is basically just a copy paste of the tutorial level, and the Scientist Lady, who is the worst customer to have. So, overall, I think that's a pretty good tier list. So, and with that, we are finished. I have talked a lot in these past few hours about this tier list, but that is also, I think, a great way to end the month of May. It's because this is going to be the last stream that I'm going to be doing this month. So, because, yeah, tomorrow is my darling's birthday. And then, yeah, I have, stuff that the day after and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, I think this is a good way to wrap up our month of mates for this year. So. But yeah, with that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this one here. So let's see who we can go give a nice little raid to. See who we can go raid. Let's see. If anyone that I know is streaming, let's find out. Oh, Mizuki is playing a game that me and Colin recently kind of talked about. Map, a game about maps. So we can go see how that game is, because I kind of did maybe want to play that. It looks kind of nice. VPie is playing Final Fantasy Online. Scarlett's playing Monster Hunter. And that's kind of about it for most of the people that I know personally. So, yeah, let's go raid Mizuki and see how they're enjoying Map. Because I kind of want to maybe play that one myself. So, we're going to go give them a raid. I think I raided them recently too, but yeah, whatever. It's fine. Mizuki is a lovely, lovely person, so we'll go ahead and go check them out. But yeah, with that, that's going to be it. I know this is kind of different from the normal streams that I do, because normally the streams that I do involve me playing a game, but I think this is pretty fun. So if you like these tier list streams, let me know. I'll maybe do more of these. So I do have a few other ideas even already for like some other tier list streams that we can do. So, yeah. So if you like this, let me know. I'll do more of these. But for now, I think that is a good stopping point here. So, thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed this month of Maids. I know this month of Maids didn't have as many streams as I hoped, because of work and that. But I like to think I still got a decent amount of streams in and everything else. So hopefully, maybe next year, maybe we'll have even more streams. So that'd be kind of nice. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have too many announcements. We're gonna go back to kind of normal esque streams, and then we're gonna continue some other games like Moonlighter and Digimon. We're gonna continue those in the next month and that. So I'm looking forward to those. But yeah, I think that's about it. So once again, thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. So
Goodbye.
okay, bye.
I'm sorry, I had to.
You're good.
A sandcastle. Mark it on your map and show us what you can do. Okay. I love it. Okay, I already love it. Hi, how was your stream? How are you? How was it? What were you up to today? Honestly, it was a guess. I tried.